think I'm going to play some music like they do on the regional leadership calls for the last 4 minutes that we're waiting for people to sign on. Good morning, V.
Oh, I'm muted. Good morning.
I was just saying, I think I'll start playing some music like the regional leadership calls.
Why can't I hear you? Are these working for once?
Are you plugged in?
I am.
Good. Look at that. Good morning, Brian. Good morning, Holly.
All right. Are you excited for this morning?
Yeah, very excited. My little dog this morning was very excited too. He said, "Why can't I come in and help you teach this morning?" And I was like, "No, you stay put on your little donut bed." He was very lazy this morning. I took him for a long run at the river last night because I knew it would be raining today.
Well, you are better than I am because I did not make it to any kind of physical activity. All right, guys, we're going to give some people some more time to join us. We are 2 minutes until 9.
It's very dark in my office today. My only light on the other side of this partition blew and I can't figure out how to take the thing on the top.
Yeah, apparently I have a light that's right behind my head, which is going to look great. Hey, Brian. I just put the gallery on, so I had no idea who was here before.
Hey, Cynthia, I saw your comment in the chat. No worries. I'm glad that you're here tuning in and listening. This will be participation heavy, but if you can't, you can't. No big deal. I'm happy that you showed up anyways. You all are very lucky because I did not have any espresso in my coffee this morning, which I usually do, so I'm not vibrating as much as I usually do. I figured I would save the stutters.
Yeah, you're a lot without caffeine, so they don't know this about you yet, but
right. Let all the people know that I'm back to rock the show.
all right, guys, as you come on, feel free to engage your cameras. I know it's early in the morning, but even if you have bedhead, I'd rather see bedhead than a name.
Virginia and I do like to keep this very conversational and very participation heavy. We're all friends here and we all grow together. So if you're able, we would love to see your face.
Well, that nobody wants to hear two talking heads for the entire time because we have about 3 hours and 15 minutes together. So I'm excited about the time, but it will be very long if it's just Krista and I chatting the whole time. All right, guys, it is 9:01. We're going to respect your time, so we're going to kick off here. We are recording. Good. So welcome, everyone. This is Ignite Spark session number 6. And today, our intentions are to have you guys leave with a tangible, physical representation of your unique value proposition that you can bring to both the buyer and the seller. My name is Virginia Frost. I am one of the assistant team leaders here in Keller Williams Coastal Lakes and Mountains. So we are up, I know this is a regional call, so we are up, I personally am in Wells, Maine right now. So I manage Southern Maine and some parts of coastal New Hampshire. And welcome, Krista. Thank you for joining me on today. And why don't you introduce yourself as well?
Hey guys, I'm Krista Carnan. I work in the same market center as Virginia, but I'm way up in North Conway in our business center up here. I'm the assistant team leader in the northern region. We're Keller Williams Coastal and Lakes and Mountains. So I am the mountains part of the Lakes and Mountains. I covered northern half of New Hampshire. I've been in real estate for 8 years. I've been in ATL here since about January. So I'm really excited to be here. I want to thank you guys for welcoming us. We're really excited to be here with the region.
Well, and they don't know what they've gotten themselves into yet today. So we'll give them that.
Virginia's very good at this. She's done it before, and she's very passionate about delivering your value proposition. So I'm excited to be here alongside my girl V.
Well, thank you for building me up and allowing me a further distance to fall. Thank you, Krista.
Fluff.
So welcome everybody. Like we said, we're going to talk about developing and delivering your unique value proposition to both a buyer and a seller today. And you are going to leave with tangible, something you can take away and put into your seller presentations and your buyer presentations. I don't have a gallery view, so I'm going to scroll through. Can I get a raising of hands? Who's printed the participant guide? And this is not to shame anyone. This is just to understand what we're working with today. Okay, so Krista, can you put the participant guide? Okay, wait, Heather, cool. Krista, can you just put the participant guide link in the chat real quick, just so people at least have access to it?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Might be able to.
So while Krista's doing that, guys, we're going to be referencing a participation guide. If you are going through Ignite and you haven't printed the participation guides, that's okay. But they are for you to work off of and to have takeaways on and a place to put your thoughts so that you can go back to it later. So we'll be referencing it. We will state what's on it. That way, in case you don't have it, grab a notebook because we will be having you guys write things down so that you can walk away with, like I said, something you can use to craft your own unique value proposition. So just some housekeeping items there. So far, this obviously, you guys are going through Ignite right now. Who here is this your first Ignite session, or are you guys first Ignite for Martin? Okay, Abby. Who here has taken previous Ignite classes to today, whether it's in this session? Brian. Okay. So far, whether it's Ignite or not, I just want to get kind of a icebreaker here. So can I get one person to share just a gratitude from some bit of information, some bit of training that you guys have had access to, whether it's Ignite or contracts or some part of your education journey since you've been here after you've gotten your license activated? Today is going to be fun.
Yeah.
All right. Brian, you are the unfortunate soul that I personally know. So you've been with us a while. Just share a general takeaway or gratitude from some education that you've had while being here.
Well, everything changes as far as when I started being a realtor. I had little kids. Now the oldest is in college. So I like the fact that I can go back to Ignite because I remember taking it the first time and I was, we only had 100 people there. It was a different world altogether. And it's just a jump start. So it's a weird way to get yourself out of your head and just start cranking on it. So I'm grateful for that. Instead of just sitting Even myself.
Well, thank you for sharing. Yeah, this guys, Ignite is all about you guys prospecting for clients and physically building up your business. So part of today is going to be us talking about some topics that you may or may not know and that you're learning about. And then part of the day is putting that into action. So we're going to be having you guys making physical calls today. And I've made a mental note that we have 34 people in the room, 35 now. So after I just said that we're going to be having you guys make physical calls later, don't worry, you're going to be muted. I'm going to watch that number and make sure that nobody drops off after I drop that bomb on you guys. So what challenges are you guys encountering that we might work through together? Just one challenge. Everybody's perfect.
You know it.
Is it Charles or Chuck or?
Yeah, it's Chuckles. Yep.
Chuckles. All right, Chuckles. What's a challenge for you right now?
One of the challenges I've recently noticed is that although How Keller Williams is awesome and gives like all these trainings, there's a little bit too much training, and I need to pull back a little bit. So in the month of September, I said to myself, I'm only going to take Ignite and push off everything else, because I can't seem to find time for everything. So that's kind of the challenge I've been working on this week, is to do this and make sure I still get to my lead gen.
Yeah, no, that's important. And at the end of this, we're going to ask you guys to write down 3 things that you guys want to focus on. And then we're going to have you prioritize them. What is a to do? What is a should do? And what is a priority? You guys, the last thing we ever want is for you guys to be perpetual students and to use the training as an excuse to not get out there and actually put it into practice. And that's why Ignite is great, because we will go over some new topics that you guys are learning, but then we're going to have those go into action, and we're going to be scripting, and we're going to be making calls, and we're going to be prospecting, which is what it's all about. All right, so today we're focusing in on you and the value that you bring to your customers, your community, and your businesses. So we call this your value proposition. So Krista, if you just want to flip the slide. So, and I'm not one of those people, I'm not going to read through all of these slides. I don't find that that's very helpful. So what Krista said was this is going to be very conversational. Basically, there's no secret there's a secret key to making you guys wildly successful real estate agents. That would be great, but there's not. Really, it's about that success leaves clues, and we know what do successful agents do every day. So it's not about a secret, it's about action. So every day agents do 2 types of activities. They grow their business and they run their business. And the goal of our time here is to model what successful agents do every day and show you how to do it. So first part about that is defining your value. So the agenda for this learning module is defining your value. There's 3 aspects of service: know and state your value and deliver that value at a high level. So here's our roadmap for the day. But first, we're going to define what a value proposition is. So we're going to explore the 3 essential aspects of the service that we provide. Then we'll dig into your unique qualities of value, and finally craft your powerful value proposition that you're going to bring forth to the people that you're going to be communicating with. So after this 1-hour module, we're going to get you into your daily success habits, which is going to be your scripting and your calling and building and adding to your database over time and following up with those people. So that part is build your database, script practice, and lead generation. Krista, can you dig into the value?
Yeah, for sure. So this all starts with your value. A value proposition is a simple and precise description of the benefits the consumer, customer, or client will get by working with you. It should clearly convey all the things that you do to earn your fee. And your value proposition is a covenant between you and your customer or client, or a promise. So how will preparing your value proposition help you move from leads to contracts, from contracts to closed? Who here sees value in a value proposition? Charles does. He's into it. Guys, so there are 2 million realtors, not even realtors, licensed real estate agents in our country, in the United States, 2 million people that are licensed to sell real estate and do the job that you're doing. 1.4 million of those people are actual realtors on a board of realtors. So you really do have to determine who you are, what your value is, what you're going to be delivering to your client, and what sets you apart from everybody else, all of the other 1.999 million licensed real estate agents that are out there.
I can speak to it in terms of other industries too, because I was in commercial banking for 14 years prior to becoming a realtor. And those loan officers, you know, are kind of, I guess, in the same boat as realtors. There's a million of them, and you know, everyone's after the same customer. So in that world, it was difficult to be able to add some kind of value. And typically it was through education, just teaching your customers something, you know, in that case, it was about their business, how to look at their numbers or something like that. But I think it probably translates a lot to the real estate world too. Just teaching your customers something.
Absolutely.
And I'm a new agent, so I'm new at this, but I'm hoping that, you know, being able to add value in education will help me at least.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Elizabeth. I think that directly correlates, and we're going to ask you guys in a bit, actually. So we're kind of fast forwarding ahead, but everybody has. How many people here have come from other industries? Did you guys just graduate high school and you've always wanted to be realtors? You all came from other industries, right? You all did things before, whether you were serving tables, bussing tables, bartending, maybe you were a police officer. I want to know what everybody did before. So I worked as a service writer in a car dealership for 5 long, painful years. So
I was
sales and
finance
customer
manager
service, right?
of a motorcycle dealership for many.
There you go. Oh, we got one high school graduate.
I love that.
14 years as an executive assistant.
Perfect. There are so
Anybody
many
else?
skills that transfer from, I mean, every single profession out there into real estate, especially service industry. We love our bartenders and servers.
I worked
21
2 years in the
healthcare
banking
administration.
industry. I'm sorry.
Pest control.
I hear 2
correctional.
years in banking.
2 years in
Chuckles, what were you gonna
banking and
say?
like 30 years plus in retail management.
Perfect.
Nice.
A therapist. Brilliant. That's so smart. Social work. So smart. It all makes sense, doesn't it? It's funny. I graduated college with a marketing degree and said, I'll go into finance, but everything just all kind of rolls into real estate. If you can leverage any sort of experience that you've had, brilliant. Social services.
Social work, healthcare administration, Boston EMS. So guys, all of these, so if you think that you're like, I'm not qualified or I don't know enough to be a realtor, we've all been in the beginning of a career, right? So by the time you exited your last career, maybe you were an expert, right? But it took you how many years to get there? And now you're starting over and possibly, right? Possibly you're not, maybe not all new, as Brian said that he's been a realtor for a while, but he's reigniting his business because he has had a life shift. So we all have life experiences, even being a parent, negotiating with kids, like that's got to count for something too. I mean, these are all life skills that are all going to be needed. If you thought that you were going to be a realtor and just sign contracts all day, whoever was a therapist, you are far more qualified for your position than I am with mine. So just keep that in mind, guys. So talking about the 3 aspects of service. You cannot grow a real estate business if you don't prioritize your client's experience above all else. The stellar experience is how you earn your commission and you get referrals. So by making raving fans are going to propel your business forward because referrals are one of the lifebloods of our business. So 3 aspects of service: purpose, value proposition, and fiduciary. The purpose is, and if you do have your participant guide here, page 3 is where we are. So the purpose is know the underlying purpose of the real estate profession. What are you here to do? What is the value proposition? Have and communicate a clear sense of how you deliver on that purpose. Fiduciary, exhibit a continual drive to put your clients' needs above all else. We're going to go into further break these down. So what is the underlying purpose of real estate? That's a question for you guys. So in your opinion, what is the underlying purpose of real estate? And there are no bad answers. And is it different for buyers or sellers? Martin.
To find people their home they'll be happy in, and to help people sell their homes for as much as they can get.
Yep. Debbie.
Car, yes.
Old car.
Who can recite old car?
Now I gotta know.
Okay, all right. Well, now we're gonna have to bribe people. I'm fresh out of MREA books, but I have an MREI book. If somebody comes off of mute and tells me old car, everyone's Googling. They're like, what's an old car? A 1974 Buick. No.
It is obedience, loyalty, disclosure, care. Not, I forget CAR. I know I have obedience, loyalty, disclosure. I forget CAR.
Confidentiality.
Yeah.
Reasonable care, confidentiality.
Accountability.
Count it. Yep.
Yep,
There we
There we
go.
go.
The loss
That
of
was a group
obedience
effort,
got me.
Krista. I don't know how you're gonna split that book.
Gonna
in
have to
three.
split
That
that
was a
book
group
up.
effort.
I know. Well, I've got another case of MREAs coming. So at the end of this, we'll connect and I'll get your addresses and you can choose either the MREI or the MREA and I'll send it over to you. How's that?
Some
Whoop, whoop. Why don't I do this? I'll put my email address in the chat and you can email me and be like, where's my book, woman?
I already have the book.
Oh, she
Well,
already
then
has the
we'll
book.
get you something else.
I just ordered Shift.
I was just gonna say, do you have Shift? Because I think I just ordered a case of those too.
I have the one thing, MREA, and now Shift is coming today. So
Perfect. So maybe a golden handoff.
you know what? I've been looking at the golden letter on the Pivot Shift page. That's what I was doing this morning.
Perfect. Perfect.
All right, guys. So get back to it. What I heard was when I asked you guys, what is the underlying purpose of real estate? I heard two different sides. So Martin said, find people homes and sell homes and net their sellers the most money. So when you're looking at the value proposition, each side has very different things of what they value, right? So if you're working with a buyer, they want you to find them a home. They want you at the price that they want to buy it, in the time frame that they want to buy it. If you're selling a home, the person wants, anyone else can give me some seller value. What is your, and this doesn't, there is no right answer. What are things that sellers mentally would be valuing in your interaction with them? If you were going to sell your home and I was going to sell it for you.
How about communication?
Debbie? Honesty.
Knowledge
I think
of the
attention,
market.
attention to their needs.
Yep, I heard knowledge of the market and attention to their needs.
Be a good listener. What I need.
That's so important what you just said. I just want to highlight that because we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, right? We really need to listen to our clients. We need to, if money's not the biggest deal for them, talking to them about, oh, well, I can pay you the most money. That's not going to resonate with them. They're not going to care. So really listening to their wants and their needs is really the most important thing.
All right, guys.
It's really subjective, right? Because if it was my house, let's say I had a crappy house, I would want to make sure that your marketing skills would be able to show that house in its best light. If I had a really nice house, I would want to make sure that you had the ability and access to market that properly. So it really depends on the client that you're working with and what their needs are. Just like you said, you have to be listening and paying attention to them and ready to deliver.
And you just said something really important also is make sure you deliver. Don't make all of these promises and then not keep them. And that's why this is called delivering your value proposition, not just coming up with one.
All right, guys, what about value? Speaking of your value proposition, let's define exactly what value is. Your value proposition distills the service offerings into a succinct set of benefits for your client. It states that what you do for the client to earn your commission and helps to explain the complexity of what you do. Because how many sellers out there or buyers out there are like, oh, well, I got my Zestimate. If that doesn't make you puke in your mouth, then you're in the wrong industry. Jen Bovey's gonna watch this recording and she's gonna slap me with a ruler. But I digress. So basically, what sets you apart? Why can't I just sell my house on my own? What unique value do you bring me? Why should I use you?
Well, we should know all the legal ramifications that go along with selling your home, all the forms that have to be done, how to fill them out properly. We know about the inspections, we know about, the lead paint disclosures and all of those things that, you need to look for when you're buying home and when you're selling home. Either way, there's a whole gamut of legalities and formalities that we know that as just a random homeowner, you're not going to know.
Right. So we know the process, we know the timeline, we have unique market knowledge and pricing knowledge. And my objection to overcome with, Zestimate, right? It's like an online aggregator hasn't walked through your home. They haven't made adjustments for the market conditions, the supply and demand. They're just looking at what's sold and it's a blanket statement and they don't know that you have radiant floors. They don't know that you replaced you completely renovated your kitchen last year, right? So, and I know what the value of that is. And I can bring that to the table.
Right. But we also have access to MLS and more buyers than they will ever be able to find.
Exposure, unique exposure. We also tend to be, whether we're for market centers all over New England, but we tend to be larger organizations, and especially with clear cooperation. If you don't know what clear cooperation is, please ask your managing brokers, but you guys can't publicly market a property unless it's in MLS. But what's unique about that is the clients are technically signed the brokerage. So you guys can share that buyer need or that listing with your brokerage first and get them in front of however many people before it even hits the market. So that's a unique exposure that you guys can add into your value proposition when you're trying to sign a listing. Same thing with buyers. Hey guys, this is a really competitive market. I'm a part of a larger institution here and I have access to listings before they hit the market. Is that not a competitive edge that they would be interested in having access to? Yeah. So your value proposition is what you bring to the experience. Your value proposition statement phrases your skills, expertise, and insights in language that makes them relevant to your client. For an example, let's say you're fluent in 2 different languages, right? You may be tempted to say, I'm bilingual. That's true, but does it convey your value to your client? Not really. Instead, you can say, I have access to a large pool of potential buyers for your home who are often overlooked by agents because I can speak another language. I can then communicate with a whole nother group that other agents may not be able to. How does changing the phrasing change your client's perception? So just in that example, I said, I'm bilingual. which yes, it's true, but how does phrasing it in such a way? I have access to a large pool of potential buyers for your home who are often overlooked by other agents because they don't speak that language. See how it goes? You could twist it where it's more geared towards them. Why is it important to them? It's not about me. I'm bilingual. Like, that's great. I don't see how that's going to affect me selling my house. So you have to gear it towards them.
I think that
So
goes
guys,
with
and
sales 101 with feature and benefit. You don't want to be a feature creature and say, oh, this, that's in that, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I can do all of these things. It's like, tell me the thing that you can do and why it's cool. Tell me the thing that you can do and why it benefits me as the client.
yeah, and Bridget said it's all about the spin, and that is a word you could use. To me, spin seems negative in my head. So to me, it's not about spin. It's about how do I change my language to share how it affects them? How is it going to affect? Because it's all about them. So in a minute, guys, you're going to craft your own value proposition statement. But before we do that, I want to talk about the final aspect of service, functionary versus fiduciary. So what is fiduciary and how is it different than functionary?
I think fiduciary, it's your commitment to that only person. You don't say what's going on in their life. So it's like secret just to between the agent and the person you're representing.
Yeah, fiduciary is what does everybody's gone through the real estate class. So what is your fiduciary? Has everybody read through the brokerage relationship disclosure form? There's similarities between every state.
There's where your old car is, right?
Right. Fiduciary is about their financial. You're paying attention and secure and protecting their financial interests. And then functionary is all of the things that you do to protect that financial interest. Fiduciary should always be the first thing on your mind.
Yep, that's part of it. What other parts are there about fiduciary? What if I tell you that I'm getting a divorce and that's why I'm selling?
That
Ryan
is
just did this.
personal information and I have a responsibility of confidentiality.
Yep. And what if you bring me to see a house and I'm a signed buyer of yours and it checks off all the boxes for me, but you're also looking for the same product? What do you have to do?
Disclose.
But what do you have to do with my relationship with you?
Oh, I would have to pass you off to someone else. And,
You have
and
to-
let them know, or at least let them know that this is happening and that it would be their interest would be better served through another agent.
Bingo.
You always have to uphold my best interest above even your own. And if you
Right.
can't in that situation, you have to refer me to someone who can uphold my best interest above all else. So that's fiduciary. So Ms. Suarez, I couldn't pronounce your first name, I apologize. So she mentioned functionary. So showing people houses, holding open houses for sellers. Any other functionary tasks you guys can think of?
Would you
Give me one
say
more.
that there are a lot of functionary things that even an unlicensed assistant could do on behalf of the realtor that they're working for or working with? A lot of people
Definitely.
stuff.
Do functionary tasks still hold a value? Because remember, guys, we're talking about unique value proposition. If I'm your agent, is it important to mention that the fiduciary part, but is it also important to mention the functionary part? Because you're hiring me to work on your behalf. So there is effort and time and care and skill that goes into the functionary and the fiduciary. So making sure that in your unique value propositions that you're touching on both of those. I'm gonna watch the market daily. Is that fiduciary or functionary? Functionary. We're gonna break you guys eventually. We're gonna get in there, I promise. All right, so Krista, know and state your value. Can you elaborate?
Yeah, happy to. So now we're going to talk about your value proposition. We're going to look at some data around what clients want. We're going to get a big picture look at our current real estate market, and then we're going to discuss some ways that technology can boost your value proposition. You guys are in a very unique position. Gary Keller says it all the time. We're a training and technology company that just so happens to also practice real estate. So using our technology in your value proposition would be a very, very smart thing for you guys to do. Again, this is all about you and how you feel and the product that you're going to be presenting to your clients. So if you're not feeling super comfortable with the technology, maybe don't highlight that yet, but we have tons of people to help you with all of that technology. If you don't know our regional tech trainer, we can get her information to you guys. We have tons of classes on command. We'll show you in a little bit through command how to get to your Connect KWU website, so you can find all of those classes as well, because there's a lot. And as one of you guys said just a few minutes ago, there's so much out there. There's so much education. It really is like drinking from a fire hose sometimes. And especially when it comes to technology, we're all not super tech savvy. So we're going to reflect on your value. So we're going to flip to page 4. I'm working off of 2 little workbooks here, so bear with me. And we'll read the questions because I know half of you haven't printed out the participant guide yet. So we're going to review these questions. If you don't have the guide, just grab a notebook to jot down your answers. Because again, this is very participatory. Is that a word?
It is today.
It's today. So here's a
So
little
on page,
oh, go ahead.
on page, put them through page 4.
Yep. So you're looking at a graph right now. Here's a look at what buyers want most from a realtor. It covers the top 3 responses, and you can see the complete list in your student handout. That's on page 6, if you want to take a look at that. So why are we looking at this graph? Why are we talking about this in terms of value proposition? Why would we care what buyers want?
We want them to have a good experience.
Yeah.
So we can tell them how we'll deliver what they want.
Bingo. Yep. Knowing what people want is going to make it a lot easier to create a compelling value proposition. Because again, if you're telling somebody, oh, I can net you the most money, if they don't care about that, if they want a quick close and they don't care how much money they make from it, you're not speaking the right language. It's the same with buyers. Help find the right home to purchase, help buyer negotiate terms of sale, help with price negotiations. Those are the top 3 most important that buyers are looking at. So we're going to go to page 4 of your student handout. And I want you guys to just take a quick second and I want you to jot down, what words would you use to describe yourself? I'll give you a minute there.
Krista and I are going to do it as well.
Mhm. So the next question, if you don't have yours printed out, how would people know you, personally describe you?
And be nice to yourselves.
Because nobody wants a value proposition that's like, I'm lazy, careless, unfriendly. So the next question.
Jelen, what,
Oh, go ahead.
sorry, it's just a question. Which book are you referring to? The stats or the workbook that we're working on?
I just wanted to know which one these questions are coming from so I can kind of follow along with it.
Yep. So there's a participant guide. If you
Okay.
scroll up in the chat, Krista, did you successfully put that link in there?
I put it in there. Hope
Yep,
it's the right
okay.
one.
Apologies, I was
Yep.
late today.
Oh, no worries.
Nope.
It's all good.
I'll repost it because if you weren't here when she posted the link,
Okay.
you won't be able to, I'll post it right now.
Thank you.
Sorry, Krista.
Oh, no worries. So the first question is, what words would you use to describe yourself? So just 3 or 5. The second is, how would people who know you personally describe you? So your friends and family, previous coworkers, if you heard them as a fly on the wall, what would they say about you? And then the third is, what skills do you have that make you great at real estate? And if you are brand new, like we were talking about before, you have a lot of skills from your previous job or career that are going to make you great at real estate. So that one was 3 or 5 skills that you have that make you great at real estate. So next we're going to move into, what experiences do you have that make you great at real estate?
You guys, these experiences could be, to Krista's point, a previous employment, but they could also be previous life experiences. Like maybe I've built my own home before, but I did it as a buyer. So going through that process, that experience will make me better prepared for if I'm helping a client adjust expectations when building a home. So it could be something as simple as you buying a home, you selling a home, you going through that side of it. I've heard stories about people getting into real estate because they had a horrible experience with a realtor. Having that experience would better prepare you as to what not to do to make people want to work with you. So that applies as well.
Can you imagine that, going into the doctors and being like, oh, I had a terrible experience. I think I'll go to school and get my doctorate. I think I'll become a physician.
Longer road, a lot more money.
Yeah. A lot more money. I don't know about that. One of our agents made like $234,000 last month.
No, I mean, it costs a lot more money to get your.
Yep. I was like, I was just
I don't know about you.
Profit share numbers, and somebody has made $54,000 so far this year in profit share. So.
I don't know about you, Krista, but I want to share, and I want to hear some other people's.
Yeah, for sure. So, before we move into the last question, because it's a little bit longer and will probably take, 3 or 5 minutes instead of just the 1 or 2, let's go back to the first question. What words would you use to describe yourself? For me, I just wrote down 3 because short and sweet. Friendly, energetic, and aggressive. Do you guys think that that would help in real estate? Being just kind of nice to people and having a little bit of energy without even my morning espresso and being a little bit aggressive?
Absolutely.
Definitely.
What do you guys have?
Tell us about yourselves.
It's hard to put it down just to 3. I'm a lot of things.
Give us 10.
Well, I wrote down fun, silly, spontaneous, loyal, strict, available, self-educating, open-minded, diverse, and good listener.
Wow. So we should be
Yeah.
friends. My email's in the chat.
We already are.
Good. That's awesome. Yeah. And all of those things are really great for a realtor to possess.
All right, so I put honest, diligent, passionate, professional, and fun.
Passionate. Love it.
I had friendly, funny, assertive, kind of like the friendly and aggressive, involved, warm.
I love assertive. It sounds less aggressive, I guess.
Yeah, that's what my mom taught me to be assertive and not aggressive.
Like that. Yep. Because if you're aggressive, they're going to call you another B word instead of
Right.
another A word. Or they might call you another A word also.
Yeah.
Who else? One more. Tell us all about you.
I was gonna say witty, creative, funny, humble, smart.
Love it. Humble.
I like humble.
Very important. Especially in this career. I mean, we never want to give people any information that's incorrect. And being able to say, you know what? I don't know the answer to that question, but I'm going to find it out for you. Very important. So let's move on. Question 2, how would people who know you personally describe you? Virginia, what did you say?
Stubborn.
Oh,
I was being honest. Stubborn, personable, driven, and strong-willed. I could replace stubborn with strong-willed and it would be like the assertive versus aggressive.
Sure.
Yeah.
You described me earlier as a lot. So I think I'll write that down. A lot.
I gave you that one.
I'll save that one. Yep.
Well, I was going to put extra on my list because sometimes I can be, but that's probably the same thing.
I like that though. I like that. And I think that they say, what is it? The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra. So I like that.
Well, then I'm going with that for sure.
I'm into it. Ambitious, organized. I'm reading some stuff in the chat. Determined.
I just thought of one that nobody's said yet. Emotionally intelligent. And I'm not saying that about myself. I'm saying that in general. I can't tell you how many times if you're answering like brokerage related questions, you've got 2 people on both sides of a transaction in an adverse position. Do you guys think that would be beneficial for you to have as a skill? And if you don't already, but try to grow this skill to understand another point of view? Because at the end of the day, you guys, nobody gets what they want unless you guys can get to the closing table. Your sellers don't get what you want, your buyers don't get what you want, and you don't get paid. So not being so, stubborn or pigheaded that you can't see the other side and be able to express that to your clients. I'm here to promote your best interest above all else. And I will also point out that the seller is coming from this position. So understanding the seller is coming from this position, we are the buyer. Could we understand their response? And can we try to work together to ultimately get you to where you want to be?
I love that explanation.
Yeah, and sometimes that kind of makes us act like a mediator in a lot of cases, which is what we are, because you're trying to get the best for your client, but you know that the other agent's trying to get the best for their client, and the only way that's going to happen is if there's some give and take, and managing that give and take at an emotionally intelligent level is really the key to success for that. Some
And we
situations are easy, a lot of them aren't.
those words and sell it, because that's gold. Everything that you just said is gold, and that's so true. Because at the end of the day, I mean, you all aren't necessarily on the same team, but you are, right? You all have the same end goal. If you're negotiating with a buyer and a seller, the buyer wants to buy the seller's house, the seller wants to sell his house to the buyer. Let's make it work. And it really does take a lot of these skills, a lot of these adjectives, if you will, to make that happen. And it's give and take every single day in every single transaction.
Is this starting to make anybody feel more empowered in a way? Because you guys have all the raw materials that you need in order to be successful in real estate. And now you just have to learn and make it your daily task to be an expert in the market. So be monitoring the market and see what it's doing and analyzing it and prospecting for clients. And if those are the only two things you really have to focus on, because you have these raw materials from past experiences and what you've learned so far and how to take care of people, you guys should feel far more qualified and prepared to go out there and do what you need to do, because you have access to the information that you need to grow those other two parts of what you're doing. So go you. You go, Glen Coco. You go, Glen Coco.
Go us. So question 3 that you guys wrote down, what skills do you have that make you great at real estate? Either, from a previous job, or if you've been practicing real estate for a little bit, what skills do you currently have that make you great at real estate? Negotiating with a child, maybe.
I wrote down that I'm gritty, so I don't give up easily. And I'm good with money, especially other people's money.
Good. I'm writing that down because that's really important. Budgeting.
So I wrote down project management, since I was like really a regional person. So I think that's very helpful.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see, detail oriented and good at building long lasting relationships.
Good, Heather.
And look into details and education.
And that's really what this business is all about, is building those long lasting relationships. And I mean, to plug our technology again, we have such an incredible platform to effortlessly keep up with people and keep those relationships going. Personable, persistent passion for homes. Yeah, write that down. That's part of your value proposition. Personable, persistent passion for homes. Tagline. I love that. So personally, I mean, I've got a marketing degree, so I have particular marketing skills that I used in my real estate career when I was still in production. Negotiating when I was the finance manager of the largest in volume Harley dealership in New England. I had to negotiate for my life every single day because that was a 100% commission-based position. Does that sound familiar? And psychology. I was a psych major for about 13 seconds in college. Loved it, took a handful of classes that I got a lot of value from. It's not something that I wanted to pursue. It was too much, and a lot of it started to get over my head. So those are my skills. So I guess we can move on. I mean, that's a great segue into what experiences do you have negotiating with children. So of course, buying my home was a great experience because I had already been a realtor for, let's call it 4 years at that point. I had done plenty of deals, but being on the other side of it as a buyer was very interesting for me. And my realtor did a great job. And it was before I switched to Keller Williams. And it's so funny because it's like a night and day difference. She did everything that she needed to do, but nothing more. So I want you guys to remember that when you're writing down your value proposition later, is are you here to do just enough and make people feel just fine about the transaction? Probably not. So let's hear experiences. Babysitting, has anybody ever babysat before?
Let's just do one experience because we have a lot of material to cover. So just one life experience, something we haven't heard. And Tatiana wanted to share, but
I can still share. So as for experiences, I can just add, I know I wrote in the chat, but social work, because that brings people skills. I'm putting families' needs first. I am looking for resources, and I have a lot of knowledge and information on those things. And that comes in handy when you're looking for different resources and buying a house. What's in your area, what would benefit your kids, those kinds of things.
I love that. And this sounds bizarre, maybe not, maybe, I don't know, I don't care, but thank you for your service to your community. I have an aunt that's a social worker. One of my best friends growing up is a social worker, and it's a lot. It's a heavy lift. So thank you for everything that you've done. So that's great. Yeah. And this really is all about just kind of digging those personal experiences out of you and relating those to real estate, digging all of those aspects of your personality and your character that make you good, that make you great at everything that you've ever done before, and leveraging those to make yourself special and deliver your value proposition. So the last question, it's on page 5 of your student guide. So I want to just refer back to what Virginia was covering with the 3 aspects of service: your purpose, your value proposition, and fiduciary. How are these aspects already present in your relationships with your clients? And also, how could you improve your service based on your understanding of these 3 aspects? I'll give you guys a couple of minutes. I'll write this in the chat too, because it's a longer one. So if you don't have the guide, we can have it here for you. Typing fast, so excuse typos.
And that part's just for you guys. We're not going to go over that together, but it's kind of a culmination of what we've done up to this point. And while you're doing that, we're going to shift into what buyers value.
I want to just pop back to question 4. Heather said in the chat, I don't know if everybody saw this, what experiences have you had that make you great at real estate? Heather said, I've had housing issues in the past. I never want anyone to experience what I went through. I love that. That is a real purpose. My purpose every day, why I wake up and come to this office bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, is because I did start my real estate career at a different brokerage. And I never want anybody to feel what I felt when they said, oh, you're licensed, congratulations, here's your chair, sit down and go to work. But how? I had no idea what I was doing. I knew how many acres were in a hectare, but I didn't know how to write a purchase and sales agreement, right? So I think that that's great. Digging that purpose out of you is going to really light that fire under you to just really excel in your real estate career. So while you guys finish up with that, So we're gonna move on to what buyers value. So this graph right here, what you're looking at, when asked the most important factor in choosing a real estate agent, these were the top 5 answers from buyers. And again, you have the complete list in your student handout. So check out the list. Reputation of agent. If you're brand new, maybe the reputation of the brokerage that you work for, right? Agent is honest and trustworthy. Agent is friend or family member. Agent knowledge of neighborhood. So these are all things that we've talked about before, right? You need to have a good knowledge of the market that you're practicing in, be trustworthy and honest. So looking at this list right here, what would you guys say would be the most important to you if you were hiring a realtor?
Honest.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting too, if you look at on page 6, the second graph, what buyers value, it's just kind of a list because they give you the top 5 right here. Agent is timely with responses was only 6%. That's very interesting because in this market, I would say that that might be a little bit more important. We have agents here that are answering their phone at 10 or 11 o'clock at night because they think it's that important to get back to their client. We're not saying that you have to, but if that's the way that you prefer to run your business, good job.
Okay.
So if there's an attribute that you have, if there's an attribute that you have that you now know from the data is something that your buyers would value, would that be a good thing to include in your value proposition? Do you think? I see some head nods. Okay. So let's practice taking these attributes and putting them into a client-centered language. And then hopefully you'll get some ideas for when you craft your own value proposition. We'll be doing that in a little bit. So I guess what I want to do now, Virginia, if this is okay, I have a little treat for you guys. I have 2 of the higher producing teams in the state. I have a value proposition from them that I want to read to you guys. And I want to see how you feel about it. Would you work with this person or would you keep looking? So this one right here says, each client purchase is unique. It's imperative that we approach each situation applying critical thinking, strategic creativeness, as well as aggressiveness to achieve our endeavor in this market. We will coach you on the best options while protecting your interests. Sound familiar? Always outlining our position in a clear, concise, and transparent manner, enabling you to make an educated decision based on the current market environment. Do you guys think that that covers all the bases?
Yeah, and it was short and concise. So it wasn't long, drawn out bio. It was more statement specific.
Is there anything that anybody would add to that?
I didn't get an overly warm and friendly feel from it. And maybe, not everyone's looking for that. It was a little, and again, like maybe don't use the word aggressive.
Well,
some people might be put off by that and think this is a sales team.
Sure. And I love that you pointed that out because if you met this agent in particular, she is very direct. She is very aggressive. She's very kind, but there's no sugarcoating, and that's who she is through and through. So I almost like that she used aggressive because again, it's very personal, right?
It's true to who she is.
Yes.
She's not trying to act like she's warm and fuzzy and.
But
so
she'll answer the phone at midnight.
Works then.
She's not warm and fuzzy, but if you call her at 3:30 in the morning, she's going to answer her phone 10 times out of 10, so It's really interesting that you point that out though, and I love that. But we're just kind of trying to focus on using language that explains the value to the buyer. Again, a feature and a benefit instead of just a feature. Instead of saying, you know, agent is honest and trustworthy, like you can see in this graph, maybe say, you can depend on me to help you make the best decisions, or something like, I will work to serve your best interests, things of that nature. So it just relates back to the language that you're speaking. So I think what we're going to do now, Virginia, do you want to, should we do groups?
So we're going to switch over to we're going to do the group activities on the seller side. So you guys have on page 7 of the participant guide, which some of you may or may not have, it focuses on skills and services and rephrasing the language to explain the value to your buyer. So what skills do you have or services do you offer that align with what buyers want? So we just went over what buyers want, which highlights help find the right home to purchase, help the buyer negotiate the terms of the sale, help with price negotiations. And what they value is the reputation of the agent. The agent is honest and trustworthy. The agent is a friend or family member, and the agent's knowledge of the neighborhood. So what skills do you, we'll just go through this as a group verbally, and then you guys can jot these down as well. So what's, if you don't have the book, it's what skills do you have or services do you offer that align with what buyers want now that we've identified them? So just quickly give me, everybody, give me at least 3 and then we'll move on. What skills do you have or services do you offer that align with what buyers want, keeping in mind that their high priority is the reputation, the trustworthiness, and that you'll help them find the right home to purchase? And I'm going to ruin someone's day. Scott, with a last name that is Fitzsimmons. Make sure you unmute.
Well, okay, so it seems to me like those first 3, reputation of agent, agent is honest and trustworthy, and to some degree family and friends, are really the same thing. People just want to know that, you know, you're not going to screw them, or that you're not a shady real estate broker. So, you know, going back to the things that most people said about themselves, loyalty and honesty, and, you know, enough of that and enough behavior in the real estate world, and there you go, those things are answered once your reputation is formed. As far as agents' knowledge of the neighborhood, you know, ideally this is like we're committed to hard work and knowledge of like your MLS, and be able to use the tools that we have through Keller, but also I guess primarily like really focusing, working hard on the MLS stuff and just knowing your data. Yeah.
Perfect. Can I get one more person? How about Abby Castillo?
Hi. So are you referring to that list of what buyers want? Is that?
So it's based off of that, but what skills do you have or services that you offer that can align with what buyers want? So why don't you talk about a service? If you think about talking to a buyer, if you were crafting your own value proposition, what is one of the services you're going to explain to your buyer that you're going to do for them? Keeping in mind that they want trustworthy, honest, and to find the right home for them.
Okay. Well, so I'm completely new to this. I'm still studying for my license, but I would say probably I'm trustworthy. I have experience as a social worker working with families in an adult day health program, and I would definitely bring that to the table. I'm honest, trustworthy, sincere. I think that's something that people would say about me. So yeah.
Okay. Lastly, how
moving into this career?
Yeah.
Sorry.
If I'm oh, sorry, Krista.
Oh no, I'm just saying you have some really good experience, Abby, moving into this career.
Thanks. Yeah, definitely. I've done outreach and marketing and networking and things like that. So I think a bunch of experience that would definitely be of value to this. So
Awesome. Good girl.
When I think of a value proposition, just lastly on this one, if I think of a value proposition and or a service, if I'm talking to a buyer, my language might be that I'm going to work daily to keep you informed.
okay.
I'm going to work daily to keep you informed in your specific area of what you're individually looking for, to make sure that you know what properties are on the market the second that they hit the market. So see how we took the trustworthy, the reliable, you're setting an expectation and you're addressing one of the main concerns that they have to help them find the right home to purchase, and that you're going to be honest and communicate. So you can put those skills or those, the core skills into a statement that is going to make them feel that this is now a promise.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
So what characteristics or habits do you have that align with buyer value? And again, guys, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. A lot of these questions sound exactly the same as one another. So unless one of these questions invokes some aha moment for you that you feel like we all need to experience with you, please share it. But otherwise, we're going to move along, because I'm a high D. I don't know if you guys have ever done the DISC analysis, but I'm direct and I like to get, it's about the end game, right? So let's move this along and get you guys where you need to ultimately be, which is prospecting and doing what it is that you're here to do. Oh, let's see. All right, this one's kind of important. So I kind of did it in the first one. Basically, select a few of the answers from above and rephrase them as benefits for your clients. So help your partners be a client-centered in their language. So you guys heard about how I am going to do this daily to ensure that you're going to find the right home in your area. So you can see how you're crafting the statement based off of the focus of the buyer. Can anybody take another skill and put it into that statement? Because I heard someone saying earlier, humble, friendly, driven. Can anybody put any of that into a value statement? Just so we can give an example as to how we're going to craft these.
I just wanted to say, I think it's interesting, the timely, and I think you talked about this earlier, was only 6%, because I know as a consumer and client of other people, like that, especially in this market, would be very high up for me. Like I would want to make sure that my agent is available pretty much 24/7 and quick with responses, because that's just a personal pet peeve of mine, is when you're chasing somebody down. So I don't know. I just thought it was interesting, because I put that as like one of my top 3. What characteristics do you have that they would value, even though the chart's saying it's not important? But that's something that I would put in the next area towards like rewording it.
So I do want to point out on that too. These statistics, they ask people for the number one thing that they're concerned about. So I feel like probably responding in a timely manner would be like a very close second for a lot of these people, but they said just choose one thing. But I agree with you. Can you imagine the market up here where I am in North Conway, New Hampshire, has been on absolute fire for a very long time. I mean, COVID happened, we were shut down for a day and a half, and then all of a sudden everybody wanted to move here. If you don't hear from your realtor within 12 hours up here, the world's on fire. Like, goodbye, you're fired. I'm looking for somebody else, right? And a lot of people are even more dramatic about that. I haven't heard from my realtor in 3 hours, so I'm going to fire them and go with somebody else. So it's one of those things where, you know, you don't want to be a slave to your phone all day, but you kind of have to be. And even if you send a message to somebody, hey, I saw you called, I'm in the middle of, you know, showings or an open house or whatever, and I'll get right back to you. Super important. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because it is very important for a lot of people, but maybe not like the number one thing that they were concerned about.
All right, guys, we're, sorry.
Sorry.
No, you're
I
good.
was just I was gonna say with the value of honesty and trustworthiness, I think for me, transparency is my superpower. So my value statement is like, if I don't know, I will find out, because I loathe when people don't know and they're kind of BSing around and I need to get to some information. So kind of being like, if I don't know, I will find out for you.
I love that. Yeah, don't try to beat around the bush and try to not answer the question by half answering it. Put it on
Yes.
hold for a second and find that answer. And
Yes.
and again, you have, I'm not sure what market center you're from, but I'm sure you have tons of support. You could make one phone call to a number of whoever, a number of people, get that question answered. I'm sure leadership and some of your top producers, I'm sure, would be happy to answer those questions. So thanks for pointing
Absolutely.
that out.
All right, guys, we're gonna move on to what sellers want. I want you, it's been, we've been at this for about an hour and 5 minutes. Is that fair? Coffee, water, bathroom, just a quick break to stretch your legs, get up, move around. Then we'll dive into what sellers want. If you want to, you can shut off your cameras, take 5 to 10 minutes. I'll give you 10-minute break. And then we'll come back and we'll be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and refreshed. So go refresh your coffee, grab a water, use the restroom. Feel free to turn off your camera. This is your time. And then we will start promptly back here at, it is 10:12. So we will be back here at 10:22. And we're here, well, I don't know about Krista, but I'm here. So if anybody wants to come off mute or just pick my brain, I'm here.
I'm here as well. My coffee and my water are right next to me. Sweet oil in the house.
I know, and she made a good point that I actually wanted to touch on, but I wanted to move things along. So I'll make sure to mention it verbally when everybody comes back.
Yeah, for sure. Setting reasonable expectations with your client.
Mhm. There's an agent up here. Her name is Pam Moody, and she has a crazy business, and she is alone, not even an admin. She's got 5 kids, and she goes on vacation, and her clients wait for her to come back.
Wow. I wonder what her unique value proposition is.
Well, it's probably just very direct. It's like, I am available this time to this time, and then I am a mother, and this is my family, and this is why I do what I do, is to provide for them, and my time with them is non-negotiable. So if you want to hire me, you have to know that.
I love that.
10 minutes is a very long time when you're just staring at someone.
I'm going back to make sure I didn't miss any questions in the chat.
Thank you, guys. It's good morning. It's Sue. How are you?
Hey, Sue.
Hi. Just hanging out for a few minutes, but thank you for addressing that because, you know,
Yeah,
it's, there might be a lot of new people who haven't quite seen that yet, but it's
sure.
just, the whole industry created this instant availability and don't do anything that's fun and don't spend time with your family, don't eat, don't sleep, don't shower, don't do anything, just cater to us. We all made that. And unless we start changing that, it's just too many people burn out.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. I got to a point when I was still in production. I noticed that a couple of nights in a row, I literally, like, I shut the stove off in the middle of cooking dinner to take a client phone call. And I'm like,
all the time.
What am I doing? I'm not allowed to cook myself dinner without taking a phone call. Like, no. This is, if it's 8 o'clock at night and somebody's calling me, I say it all the time, and we'll get some pushback here and there from people, but there's no such thing as an emergency in real estate.
Right. Yep.
You know, we had an agent that had a client who had a heart attack 3 hours before closing. Like, yes, that is an emergency.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying. If you're going to call me at 9:30 at night, shame on you. But shame on me because I didn't set that expectation at the beginning.
Right. And it's hard to do. I mean, it takes, I think, years of experience before you start out with that. Like, look, here's the scoop. And I'm up till 2 o'clock in the morning every day. So you respond to somebody once at midnight. They're like, oh, great. She's up every night. Nope. Done. Phone off, 9 o'clock, done. Call me tomorrow. And if it's a closing tomorrow and something horrendous has happened, absolutely, no problem. But I got one the other night at 11:30. It's for an October closing. I'm like, we're good. You know, I'm not doing that. Sorry.
Because it's not an emergency. Yeah. And I feel like there are so many times where people say, oh, well, it was just a text message. I didn't expect you to respond immediately.
Yeah.
Okay. But if I don't, then you're going to fire me. I've been fired one set of buyer clients ever. They said, they sent me a text message. I typically will get couples together if we're texting just to keep everybody on the same page. So husband and wife. Husband sends a text to the group at 8:30 at night. So 2 hours later at 10:30, I'm like, oh my God, I was in the middle of dinner. I'm so sorry. I didn't see this come through. And they didn't want to work with me anymore because they waited 2 hours to hear back from me.
You know what?
Night.
You dodged a bullet.
Yes, I did.
You really did. Like,
yes, I did.
And that takes years.
Sure. But I was at a point in my career where I said, these are not people that I want to work with anyways. They're never going to be happy with my level of service.
Sure.
I can't make them happy.
Right. And you know what? You gathered that early.
Yeah.
It can take years to figure that out. And I get it. At the beginning, it's this, oh my God, I got to get everything humanly possible. And it takes a long time to kind of go, you know what? I could go get 3 other clients in the time that I'm spending on these people that I can't keep happy. Yeah. I could go get 3 other people that value my time. So it's nice
hard though, like when it's like when you're a beginning guy, and this is what society demands a little bit. It is kind of, because luckily in my 21 years of experience being in a regional, like my senior VP tried to call me sometimes at 1 o'clock in the morning, and it was kind of the expectation that you were working 24 hours a day. Right. But that's like what society has turned into. So what I'm finding is, like, I have put a lot of barriers, I still work a lot, but at 7 o'clock, I'm shutting it off.
Yeah.
And I lost a few clients that way, already. And I think that's what's hard, is like at the beginning, you're hoping for some money to happen sometime. And, society's really it's really hard. I mean, luckily I have a very supportive partner, but to allow me to do that. But I can understand some people that are just begging for cash that end up doing it anyway because, you know, they need to make a paycheck.
Yeah.
Well, and it's such a fast food world, right? Like
Yeah.
everybody wants everything yesterday.
Yeah.
And I feel like we do need to do a better job of, in a market like this, of course, it's so difficult, but of slowing ourselves and our clients down, because you feel like you're in a tornado sometimes with these people when things are moving so quickly and they're trying to call you at midnight. And it's so important now more than ever, I feel, to set those expectations at the beginning. And it can be as simple as saying, hey, what do you do typically at like 7:30 or like 8 o'clock at night? And they'll be like, oh, I'm having dinner with my family. So am I. Period.
Yeah.
Like sometimes that's really it. And they'll be like, oh my God, you're right. I'm so sorry. Because it really, I mean, it kind of boils down to a respect thing. And to Sue's point, if you answer a phone call at 11 one time, they're going to expect that of you. So set your boundaries and be consistent.
Well, and you guys can delay responses. So even if you're up at 11 o'clock at night and you might be a night owl, draft the response, set it to go out at 8 a.m. the next day. Because if you're anything like me, if I read an email and I don't mark it as unread, I will not respond back to it because I've already read it and it's off my radar, but I still have to draft a response. So I'll draft a response when it's fresh in my brain, and then I will set it to go out at a specific time. Because just because you're up doesn't mean that you have to be responding. All right, guys, if you're back, we're going to get back up and going. It's 10:22 on the dot. Turn your cameras back on and be ready to get into what sellers want. All right, so what sellers want. I know the percentages aren't up here, which drives me nuts every time I teach this class, but we looked at what buyers want. Now we need to talk about what sellers want most from their realtor. And this graph covers the top 5 responses when questioned. So you can see, and you can see the complete list in your handout if you have it. So I'll just briefly go over it because some of you may not. Starting in the top right corner with the black, it is 20%. So 20% help sellers market their home to potential buyers. The pink, 20% help price the home competitively. Help sell the home within a specific time frame is 19%. The black on the back on the left-hand side, help find buyer for home, 14%. The blue, 14%, help with negotiation and dealing with buyers. And lastly, the green, 13% said other. So that's what sellers want.
Notice how nothing in there says anything about commission. Just a thought, that's all.
Yep. All right, so what sellers value? When asked the most important factor about what sellers value, starting with the largest section, 35%, the blue, that the agent is honest and trustworthy. Which is actually different from, all right, I'm not gonna read that anymore. 31% reputation of the agent, 19% agent is honest and trustworthy. 15% agent is a friend or family member, 13% agent's knowledge of the neighborhood, 4% agent has a caring personality and good listener. Isn't that interesting? That was one of the ones that we put up there. Agent's commission, 4%, agent's association with a particular firm, 4%, agent seems 100% accessible because of use of technology like tablet or smartphone, 3%. So it may be a common misconception, as we were just discussing, maybe you guys weren't back yet, is that set reasonable expectations up front. This is when I'm available to you. This is my promise to you. This is the time frame that I can get back to you within. Teach them what an emergency actually is. Teach them what constitutes an emergency. What I usually do is, if you think that there's a fire and you think that it's an emergency, pause, ask them, if they got back to me tomorrow, would that change the outcome ultimately in my world? And I would teach them that. Like, you guys are going to be at one of the most elevated emotional states that you will be in your life. Like, this is one of the most emotional and financially heavy decisions you're going to make. When we're working together and you feel the urge to call me or text me at 9 o'clock at night, ask yourself, if she got back to me tomorrow, if I got the answer to this question tomorrow morning, would it change my reality in this situation? And if the answer is no, call me in the morning. Or send it, but I'm going to get back to you in the morning. All right, so client-centered language around sellers. So we're on page 9 of your participant guide if you have it. This kind of follows in suit, but again, it's a different perspective. So what skills do you have or services do you offer that align with what sellers want? So keeping in mind that they care that the agent is trustworthy and honest, that the reputation, but mostly what they want is that you help them market the home to potential buyers, you price the home competitively, and you sell the home within a specific time frame. So keeping in mind those first 3: marketing, pricing, time frame. What skills or services do you have that would align with what a seller wants?
Charles, I love what you just said in the chat. One thing that I have learned over time is don't assume everyone knows. Teach every person in a positive way what boundaries are. Every person has a different definition of the same word. I love that perspective, right?
So guys, if I'm a seller and I'm going to hire you to sell my house, and I care that you're going to market my home to potential buyers, price it competitively, and sell it within, because I need to move down to Florida in 2 months. What skills do you have? Sell me on yourself. What skills do you have or services do you offer that align with what I want?
Can I go back to like my answer from the last set of questions on the buyer side of this?
Yeah, you just have to form it in a way where it's applicable to sellers, but that's totally cool.
I'm kind of just having a thought again about those first 3 things really being the same answer. You know, people, I feel like the process is so complicated to people that the trust thing is at the top of the list, you know, that, and those first 3 answers, reputation, agent is honest, agent is friend, they really just want to know that they can trust the agent, right? And they're not going to be messed with. It seems to me that maybe the process is so complicated that communication good communication skills are probably the most important thing that we have as agents, to simplify the process in their mind so they understand the steps, and then there's no mysterious like hidden place where they're going to get screwed. Like if they can understand and see clearly like how the commission works and, you know, the kind of work every step of the process, then I bet that you're like 99% of the way there with your sellers and your buyers. If you can just listen, understand their fears, and communicate really clearly, you know, every step of the process. Like, I'm not up to anything here. I'm going to be totally straight with you and helping them to understand that.
Yep.
Absolutely. And yeah, how do you craft exactly what you said into a short, sweet little package that you can just deliver to people? You know, this is what sets me apart.
And that's what you're trying to walk away with today. So one thing so again, services, skills, characteristics or habits, which is number 2 on this. What characteristics or habits do you have that align with what sellers value? So your value proposition to them may be knowing that I value honesty first and foremost, but also I want to know that you're marketing it to potential buyers, pricing it competitively, and selling it the home within a certain time frame. So my commitment to you, Mr. Seller, is I'm going to do what is it, Krista? The P's. You know this.
Prospecting.
So put a sign in the yard. We're gonna be putting a sign in the yard. Putting it into
Yeah, posting a sign in the yard, placing it into MLS, and praying that it'll sell.
That's what, and so that can how you can differentiate yourself. You know, Mr. Seller, most agents put a sign in the yard, put it in MLS, and they pray that your home's going to sell. What sets me apart from other agents is that yes, I put a sign in the yard, and yes, I put it in MLS. And sure, if you want me to pray, I'll pray. but I prospect for clients daily. What are the other ones? Krista?
You prospect and then you prospect and then you do more prospecting.
And then you price watch. Because when you put a house on the market, average time on market. So prospect, price watch, put a sign in the yard, put it in MLS, you do the additional piece. You prospect for clients daily and you're price watching. Because if you guys haven't taken an absorption class, if you don't even know what that is, ask your market centers what is absorption and whether or not you guys can have someone teach you that. Absorption is at the rate of which the inventory is being absorbed by buyers in any given month. And if you can master that conversation, that will elevate your pricing conversation, because it's showing the consumer, it's showing the seller where the market is and where it's trending based off of how many homes are available and how many homes are consumed. Okay. But so you see how you can take that statement. This is what normal people do. This is what I do. But that can also be very specific to you and your skill set. But the prospecting and price watching is going to help you address this pricing homes competitively and a specific time frame. Because if they need to adjust their price, you're going to do it in a specific time frame so that they can get to, you can sell my house and get me to Florida in 2 months. And don't assume that sellers are only focused on the bottom line. Is the bottom line important? Yes. But have I had a seller accept an offer that was less because it got them to where they were going sooner? Yes. There are other factors. You really need to understand what the drivers are for each individual client so that you can offer and get them to where they need to be. All right, so what sellers value? We're going to be doing a group activity. We already did that, never mind. Krista, does everybody have a clear understanding of the differentials between seller and buyer and how they're nuanced? I don't want them to all smush together. Is anybody confused, or they seem like one entity? Do you guys know how to like take the skills and put it towards the buyer and then redirect it and put it towards the seller? Because you guys are going to have to do that. So I want to make sure that you're not lost when we get to that point.
That goes back to when I was still in production, I used to ask myself every day, who am I and what am I doing here? When I would show up to an appointment, am I a buyer's agent or am I a seller's agent today? And what is the purpose of our conversation? So to try to differentiate between the two, who am I today and what am I going to be doing? So are we going to switch a gear here? We're switching gears a little bit.
Yep, a little bit.
Little bit. So we're going to move on to who are your competitors now? Real estate has undergone significant changes in the past few years. Investors have come in with the intent to disrupt the industry, and especially up here in my market in northern New Hampshire, they certainly have. iBuyers are driving down commission prices, and some companies are moving towards eliminating the agent altogether. So who do you think are your local competitors in your market center where you are? Who are you competing with for clients and for your commission?
Well, I am in Hartford, Connecticut, and the trend since COVID has been New York and Jersey folks buying stuff up in cash. I actually own a 2-family. I'm a landlord, and I probably get like 3 or 4 calls a week. So I feel like they are some pretty big competitors as far as that goes.
Who are the competitors that are calling?
Some of them are with brokerages, and some of them are just independent folks from New York or Jersey kind of reaching out and saying, hey, I see you have this house that you're in. Do you want to sell it?
That's really interesting. So a buyer personally calling you?
Yeah.
No? Wow. Okay.
And they have signs all over the area that say we buy cash. So it's just folks coming in like, how much are you willing to part with that
What's
the
your
home
price?
for?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you want?
Name your price, baby.
What do you want? That's what it is. So that's very competitive.
What's that company that has the commercials? They have the name your price tool.
Yes. What was that? Geico? I don't know.
I think so. Yeah,
Impressive.
that's what it sounds like. Name your price. We want your house.
Yes, yes, yes.
There is a guy in Connecticut too that that I found like in your area, in the Hartford area, Jelen, that is promoting 1% commission, and that's what he sells. It's ridiculous.
I heard that too. Yes.
So like a Redfin type deal?
No, he's his own brokerage, and he was on the news in the Hartford area, and he promotes that he will only take 1% commission on every sale. So I don't know how he's doing it, but he literally, if you go on his website and if you look up 1% commission in Connecticut, you'll find him.
Wow.
It's a little sick.
Yeah.
Well, isn't it interesting? Like, so how do you guys overcome that, right? Someone was commenting in the chat, I think it was Lucretia, she was just saying that I only compete with myself. I don't really worry about other agents, and I can appreciate that. And focusing on what it is that you guys do at a high level is important. The one thing I did say back was just that knowing what competitors are doing, it's important so you can set yourself apart. So have you guys ever, and this is it's all about objection handling when you guys are going for, and it happens more so when you're up against another agent for a listing. Hey, Mr. Seller, well, I met with someone the other day, and they agreed to, they were going to charge me less than what you're charging me to use your services. I can appreciate that, Mr. Seller. Now, I want to ask you a question. Have you ever, tried to save some money and pay less for a service, and at the end of the day, you kind of got what you paid for? Was there a direct correlation between the value and what you were paying and the money that you paid and the value that you received? Well, yeah. Like, if I don't know about what you guys have, but if I go to Market Basket, I can save a lot of money. My shopping experience won't be that great. And I'll usually put on headphones and just like ignore everyone who's there and just get in and get out. Now, if I go to Hannaford, or if I go to Trader Joe's, or if I go, Trader Joe's is a great experience because every time I go there, everybody's smiling. I don't know what they're doing to their employees, but they are happy. They're like, how are you doing? Oh, this wine would go really great with this. Like, they should all be realtors. They probably make more money. But my point is that, it's more expensive, but I volunteer to go there because I like the quality of what I'm getting. So this is what crafting your own unique value proposition is. I have agents that go up against other agents and they charge more, and they get it because they're really good at expressing that this is what I do for you. This is what sets me apart, and this is what I can get for you. So yeah, Debbie, Trader Joe's is my jam. All right. But my point is that we all talk about these competitors, and can you compete with 1%? Maybe these aren't the clients for you. These aren't the people who are going to value what it is that you're putting in front of them. And do you want to work with them? Probably not, because they're going to be beating you up every step of the way. And probably the listing's overpriced, and the person who's taking the listing doesn't care whether it sells or not, because they're not making much money off of it anyway. I digress. Krista.
Yes.
I will step down from my soapbox.
Well, this is
anything further about competitors?
Knowing who your competitors are and knowing their value proposition. Because if you know what you're up against, you're going to be able to be like, oh, okay, well, sure, they're taking 1% commission, but are they going to do X, Y, and Z for you? So to Virginia's point, just knowing what sets you apart and knowing what your competitive edge is super important, and being able to deliver that in a manner that makes sense to your client. And they say, oh, okay, well, if it's just if 3% versus 1%, but I'm getting all of these extra things, wonderful.
Well, and you guys are the experts, so you know what it takes to get a home sold in this market. And Sue made a good point. She's like, interesting, I'm not seeing your home as a discount home. You're hiring a discount brokerage or paying a discounted fee, but I don't see your home that way. I see the value in your home to market it correctly and find the right buyer for your home, because I'm not seeing it as a discounted home.
Yeah,
Language is powerful.
Actually, I love that what Sue put, because it really is great language, and you can easily slide in there that your home has so much value to a certain clientele that it really deserves someone who can market properly to that. So there's definitely some great ways to kind of beat around that bush of the discounted sales agent. I love that.
Yeah, it's really important to practice that too. So it sounds natural when you're saying, but I'm better, and this is why. Practice that.
Yeah.
So guys, technology is
best.
Technology is one part of your value proposition. So we have a pretty awesome technology suite that you guys all have access to. I know that some of you are newer, some of you may not be newer, but whether or not you've kind of jumped into that, have you guys, how many people here have gone onto Command? How many people here have entered a contact? How many people here have a smart plan running? Okay. How many people here are, so out of that or anything that you've done on it so far, is there any aspect of the technology that you have access to, whether it's Command or some other tool that you have access through your market center, that you would say gives you a unique edge on, say, with unknown competition? Is there one aspect of the technology that you have access to that gives you, that should be added into your value proposition?
Yes.
And why? What part?
I want to say the app, that you can share, as opposed to the business card, just giving them that app and say like, here, you can do your own searches. It can prompt me to, send you whatever you're interested in, and you can share that app with others. I think that's a really significant tool.
Okay.
Love the app.
Not necessarily technology, although I guess it could be, but just working in a bigger office, just having, a Facebook page with just agents within the office kind of gives you an edge to say, I'm seeing properties before they're on the market, or I can reach out to all the other agents in my office, see if, they may have a buyer who's interested.
I love that.
Definitely. Or Keller Williams in general as a whole, just using that feature too, which I haven't really gone into.
Well, and also as a newer agent, it's nice to be able to say something along the lines of where Keller Williams has right around 177,000 real estate agents. In my market center, we have right around 780 agents. What's the value in that for you? We have an internal Facebook page where I can say, hey, there's nothing on the market that meets my buyer's needs. Does anybody have A, B, or C coming up soon? That's of great value to a buyer, because then they're going to say, oh, okay, well, now I don't have to negotiate against 45 other buyers in a multiple offer situation because it's not even on the market yet. So yeah, that's great. I love that. And as a newer agent, don't be afraid to use your company as your backbone.
Yeah. Yes, I'm new. And the great part about me being new is you're my only client, right? So I'm not, it's like, you got to work into what your strengths are. So like, there might be a lot of big agents out there that are handling a lot of different clients all at once, but you are one of 2 clients that I'm currently working with. So my time is dedicated to you, obviously setting those expectations as we talked about a little bit earlier, but also too, I'm new, but I also have the backing of the biggest, and if this is your own reality, right? So we own 25% of the market share in this specific county, right? So 1 out of every 4 homes is sold by someone in our local market center. Nicole.
Yeah, so I just kind of wanted to touch on that a little bit because I'm a new agent and I have my first buyer clients right now. And we looked at the first house we looked at, they said they wanted to put an offer in and they were real excited about it. And then I could tell that that the woman I'm working with was not interested in the house, but her fiance was. So she was afraid to tell me that she didn't want to put an offer in because she was afraid that I'd get upset because I know them. So that's what her fiance told me. And I said, nope, let's have this conversation and explain to you what my job is. My job is to treat this as if I'm looking for a house for myself. So I take all of your wants and needs And I put that in my head, and that's all I care about. So my job is to find you a house. If you don't like it, you don't like it. It's supposed to be your best interest. The last thing I want is for you to, after closing, say, I hate this house and I only bought it because I didn't want to hurt someone's feelings. It doesn't matter to me about how fast we find you a house. I want to find the right house for you, the one that you want. Nobody's forcing you to buy a house, and if it's not the right time, it's not the right time. But I had an issue with that. Like they assumed that they had to just do whatever they said in the beginning that they wanted to do. Like they had to stick with it. And I was like, no, that's not the way it is. I'm going to spend all of my time to try to find you the house that you want. If you don't want it, you don't have to buy it. You don't have to do anything, because I won't get upset either way what you do. So you have to kind of explain to them where they don't always understand. You think everyone knows exactly what you're supposed to be doing for them, but I think people who have never bought a house before, they have no clue. So they just get nervous and they think, oh, well, she's going to be mad because she's not getting paid.
I love that, setting reasonable expectations with your clients right at the get-go. And I think it's a really nice thing too to set sort of a timeline, or even write down a list of, you know, this is what we're going to go through. This is what the process is going to look like. I know that you guys we all have some resources in Connect or KWU that are basically lists like that. But yeah, I think that that's a really important conversation to have at the beginning, is just say, like, I don't matter in this transaction, and I cannot sell you a house. I can show you houses, and hopefully, you know, we'll find one that meets your criteria in a timely manner, but there's no expectation of you have to buy this or you have to buy that.
And I did kind of go a little off track a little bit, because that was part of what I was saying. But also, that's another thing that I had to go with what you were just saying, is I had to explain to them that even though I am new at all of this, I work with a company that has so many people who have been doing this for, some of them, decades. So if I don't know the answer, or if I'm having trouble, or you have a question, don't be afraid that I'm not going to be able to help you, because I have, just with the click of a button or one telephone call, I can find you your answer. So don't be afraid of any part of it. I have a really great group of people that I can reach out to. Keller Williams is a huge company. My market center is wonderful. And a lot of our agents have wonderful reputations that they've all heard of. So I tried to drive that on too. Like, I am a new agent, but I have
We're all
the
on the same team,
expertise.
basically, right?
Yeah.
We're all on the same team at the end of the day. And you have the largest global network of agents that are producing at a very high level that you can reach out to. So God forbid nobody in your market center answers. Call me, right? Call Virginia. Call somebody in Timbuktu. Call somebody in Paris. We just opened in Uganda, I think. Like, you can call literally anybody around the globe and ask questions. And that's, I feel like, a huge benefit to add into your value proposition for a newer agent. Look what I have that the EXP doesn't have, or this person doesn't have. I think one Worcester Realty or something somebody wrote down. Look what we have that Redfin doesn't have.
All right, guys. So we're going to do an activity. This one's going to include a breakout session. So you guys are going to get into smaller groups. This is where you're actually going to craft your value proposition. Krista and I are going to go through and give you an example. Krista's going to give you an example of her buyer value proposition. I'm going to give you an example of my seller value proposition. And remember that it's unique, memorable, and persuasive statement that expresses the true value of working with you, and says what you're going to do to earn your commission and holds you accountable to high standards. And that can be different for each and every one of you. If you guys have your participant guides, it is pages 12 and 13. It lists services, character, knowledge, skills, and there's also other statements. So there's a spot on here for you to craft that value proposition statement. And if you don't have it, again, you can use a notebook. But Krista, would you like to share your buyer value proposition?
I would. So buckle up. Exclusive buyer brokerage represents only home buyers, never sellers. It's a true fiduciary response or relationship of transparency and trust, usually at no cost to the buyer. For many people, buying a home is the single biggest purchase of their life. Making an offer and negotiating with a seller can be one of the most difficult and stressful parts of the home buying process. You want an expert to represent you and your interests. Your buyer agent negotiates on your behalf throughout the entire transaction, saving you time, money, and avoiding potential problems. And again, that's from one of the top teams in our state. That's not my personal value proposition.
Cheater.
Well, what does R&D stand for? Rip off
What was
and
that?
duplicate.
Yeah.
R&D, not research and development, rip off and duplicate. So what we say is steal from the best and make it your own. If you're having a hard time developing what sets you apart, what makes you different, there's no shame in saying, okay, well, what do other people say? What are other people doing? If it's not something that you're going to be able to deliver, do not put it in your value proposition. If you say that you're a gentle, caring person and you're just not, don't put that in your value proposition. But if you're having a hard time with it, again, you have so many people around you that are operating at a very high level. Borrow from the best and make it your own. V, what's your seller value prop?
This isn't fair because I stepped out of production 3 years ago and I did not rip off. So this is actually a perfect example for you that you will always do better if you are building off the back of someone who's done it, tried and true. So this is a good lesson for all of you because this will suck in comparison to Krista's.
Because it's not mine.
Exactly, because I crafted it myself after not selling for 3 years. I should have Sue deliver hers after the fact.
Yeah,
Sue's a rock
let's
star.
do that. We'll do that. Sue, you're on the spot.
If she's willing. All right. Mr. Seller, my promise to you is to deliver a 5-star experience. Properly pricing your home to compete in this market, communicating with you throughout the process to advise and make sure that you are cared for. I will provide my top-notch preparation process to professionally stage, photograph, and strategically place your property on the right channels on social media and other various platforms. When you work with me, you will always understand the process and be updated on a weekly basis. When you work with me, you will never be left asking questions as to what is going on or where are we. When you work with me, we work together to get your home sold and to get you off to your next destination. Again, I put it together myself. Tried and true example why you just take what someone else did and make it your own. Sue, are you with us and can you share yours? I know you're on the spot and you don't have to if you don't want to.
Yes, you do.
She's like, why did I join? She probably stepped
She's
away.
like, I'm not here.
Not really here.
Mind.
No, wait, me, Sue, or somebody else?
Yeah, no, you, Sue.
Dr.
Okay.
Doyle in the house.
Oh, geez. Oh, geez. No, I will be honest. I just hung up on a phone call, so I missed the question.
We were just delivering our examples, our unique value proposition, whether it be for a buyer or seller.
One of the things that can come back to bite you a little bit, but I've found very, very powerful for both buyers, more so buyers lately, not as relevant with sellers lately, but this will change. Give it 5 minutes, is to just tell people I'm never going, and this comes from working with a lot of first responders and military who I'm very, very committed to, but to say to somebody, regardless of what the market is doing, I'm never going to quit on you. And I will never give up on what we are doing until it's done and you're happy. So there's a better way to say that with a little more prep, if you will, but just acknowledging to them, like, this is not simple. There are times that it can get very complicated, but I'm never going to quit on you. And you will always be a priority for me. Really is powerful to them, and it does create a bond.
Well, and I think
I love
that's
that.
really important, Sue. It's a really important point to touch on emotion, right? Like, we want people to feel comfortable. We want them to feel like we're trustworthy. We don't just want to say, oh, this, that, and the other. We want to use language that makes them feel that brings out that emotion in them. Like, oh my God, in this fast moving market, I'm not going to be left behind.
Right.
I love that.
And there is too, like everybody, every client has got a mission, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. I mean, you represent people who desperately need something. You represent people who, you know, have saved up a ton of money and can move up to the big house. So that's like the happy. There's just every scenario. Your client has a mission, and understanding what that mission is and acknowledging it. If you're having those open discussions, they are having those open discussions with you, never forgetting why they are in contact with you is also very, very powerful.
Right. Communication. It all comes back to communication. And again, we have 2 ears and we have 1 mouth. And I feel like we can't talk about communication without talking about comprehension. So just because you're communicating with somebody doesn't mean that they're comprehending it. So checking in with your clients and making sure that they understand what you're saying to them, also super important.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So I'm going to put you all in the breakout rooms.
Should she be a co-host?
She's always great.
I'm not being a great role model saying, I'm sorry, I missed the question. I was on the phone. So that probably would get denied. No, you guys are doing a great job.
Duty calls, Sue. It's all good. We understand.
All right, guys. So I'm going to split you up into breakout rooms. There's going to be 2 to 3 participants per room. In this activity, you guys are going to craft your unique value propositions. If for some reason you guys get into a room and whoever's in the room cannot participate, and you end up in a room with 0 participants beside yourself, please bounce back and we'll reassign you to rooms. We're going to spend about 10 to 15 minutes here, depending on, and if you guys are done quickly, just alert me and we'll let you back in. So again, if you end up in a room where nobody can participate, please bounce back so I can get you guys with some live blood. All right.
Can you just share again the pages, because I didn't print it out?
Yep. So this one doesn't, this is on pages 12 to 13.
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. And you may have to accept your room. Looks like Camille is in a room with 2 people who haven't. Okay, Danny's in there.
Do you want me to hop
Chelsea,
or do you want me to just stay here?
go in room 12.
Okay.
Jose, you have to join a room. So accept your room. Jose, did you get an invitation to join a room? Nicole, was there no one in your room?
There was someone there, but they didn't respond.
Okay.
I got an invitation. Yes, I did.
All right, so whoever's left in here, we'll just stay here then because we've got enough people to just work together. So you guys lucked out. So creating your own value proposition, review your answers to today's value activities, basically the skills and the, just check the time, 11. The skills and the services that you wish to offer. And on the page below, if you have it, brainstorm what you want to include in your value proposition statement. A few areas of the mind map has been created for you. Add your own unique answers to those areas. Add new areas as you see fit. So services, character, skills, knowledge, and then if you see any additional ones that you want to add, feel free. So these are just your bullet points of your All right, Juan, we're just working on, all right, I'm gonna move. We have enough people in here. So I'm gonna move you guys into your own room. Cool, room 9. Okay. Sit tight, Nicole.
Okay. So join
Okay,
room
Nicole,
9.
go. Join room 9. Juan, join room 9.
How do I join room 9?
Did you get an invitation?
Yeah, I think I was in room 9, but no one was there. So then I just came.
Yeah, I just sent Nicole. So you're gonna be with Nicole.
Okay. How do I get back?
Let me see.
Did you invite
Let me
me
put
again?
you in another room.
Okay.
I'm gonna invite you again. Go to room 1 and then I'll move you.
Okay.
There you go, room 9. How you doing, Jose? You writing down your characters? And Nellie and Jennifer, are you guys here?
I'm here. I sent you a private message. I'm just on our way to an appointment. So I'm listening in.
Okay.
But I'm in my car driving.
Okay. So Jose, we're working on putting our characteristics down. So I put honest, I put trustworthy. I also put direct. And these are what's true to me. So whatever is true to you. Under services, I put pre-listing preparation, staging, photography. And again, it can be individual to you. Skills, I put negotiation.
Hi, Virginia. My group didn't have any papers ready and neither did I. So we just didn't know what to work on because we didn't have the papers. So
Okay. Yeah,
what-
you can use a notebook, and we're just writing down characteristics, services, skills, and knowledge.
Okay, thank you.
So I put characteristics, I put honest, trustworthy, and direct. Under services, I put photography, pre-listing, preparation, staging. And then under skills, I put negotiation, I put communication. Nicole, did you put down any skills or characteristics?
Sorry, I was muted.
No worries.
Not yet. I was trying to make sure I was on the right page. I think I have it now, but.
Yeah, so I was just putting under skills, I put negotiation, communication. That's me, but you can put whatever skills that you want to focus on that you feel that you have.
For knowledge, I put market updates, absorption. But again, these are things that you only want to promote what you understand, and because you're going to be using all of these to craft your individual value proposition.
So I'd say communication, loyalty.
Mhm. And when you're done with that, with your chart, you're going to turn it over and it says, now that you've visualized your value all in one place, it's time to craft your value proposition statement. This is a statement that you can now share with potential clients, selectively include in marketing, and build your business on. Remember, your value proposition statement is a unique, memorable, and persuasive statement that expresses the true value of working with you, says what you're doing to earn your commission, and holds you accountable to high standards. So now that you've identified where your strengths are, like if you're new and you're not going to focus on, absorption or market knowledge. You're going to focus more on the fact that I'm honest, I'm trustworthy, I'm direct, I'm good at negotiations. I include professional photography and staging in all of my services. So if that's what I'm strong at, that's where my statement is going to come around. So now you heard Krista share her buyer side and me share my seller side. So for instance, my promise to you is to deliver you a 5-star experience by properly pricing your home to compete in this market. So that brings in my market knowledge. So you can see how you take the individual statements and you craft this short value proposition from the core that you have already established that you're good at. So everybody work on putting those to a consumer focused, client focused perception of what I'm getting from you as the seller or buyer. I'll be right back. Keep working. We've acquired some people back. Rich, how is your room? You're muted.
I think it was good. We had a good conversation.
As I'm getting barrage, sorry. All right, I'm going to call everybody back. Did you craft your value proposition statement?
Yes.
Good.
But I think Heather's was really good.
Well, I'll make sure to call her out then.
Yay. Thanks, Rich.
I'm just saying, I thought it was really good.
All right, people are filtering back in. Hopefully you guys, hopefully that was fruitful and you've crafted your value proposition. We lost a lot of people with that breakout. Oh, no, more people are coming back in. All right, looks like we've got most of it, but keep coming, keep coming.
Hello, friends.
Hello, welcome back, everybody. Looks like we lost a few, but we've got a lot back. So we need, I heard a little birdie told me that Heather's value proposition was really good. So I am going to ask her to share, but before we get into sharing the entirety of what you guys crafted, any ahas from going through that process of taking the mind map and then formulating your statement? Was it hard? Was it easy?
It was hard to whittle it down to just a few things that fit in that you want your clients to know.
Yeah, sometimes saying less is difficult and getting really granular with just but very specific at the same time, but also prioritizing based off of who you're speaking to, what they want to pull out of and hear from you in order to have confidence to work with you. Any other takeaways?
I want to share just something real quick. I don't want to put her on the spot, but somebody who has been in residential counseling before said that, you know, from day to day, everything is so different in her previous career. Going into homes, sometimes you're dealing with children, sometimes you're dealing with elderly folks, sometimes you're dealing with parents who don't know what they're doing and their heads exploding. How does that relate to real estate? Again, it's taking your experiences and relating them to how you're going to do what you do at a very high level for your clients. So just wanted to add that little tidbit.
So who is excited about what they drafted and wants to share? And know that I'm going to call people out if no one's willing to share. So if anyone's excited and wants to voluntarily share, please do.
We've got a hand up.
Is that me, my hand?
How do we pronounce your name?
Jalan.
Jalan, what is your unique value proposition? Why should I work with you?
Okay, bear with me, first draft. Okay.
Oh, I love it.
Authenticity is my superpower. I am an owner and investor. I keep my eye on the market. In my other life, I'm a therapist, so I'm good at listening. I'm in tune and I'm motivated to get your needs met. I'm driven and assertive, maybe to a fault, but I'm here to get the job done. If I don't know, I'll find out. Let's work together to meet your goals.
I love that. I love that. Do you feel power in that?
Yes.
Because I do.
Yeah.
I love that. R&D, rip off and duplicate, you guys, if you don't have your own. But again, don't say it if it's not you.
Right.
I'm not going to come out and say, I'm going to treat you so gentle and so sweet. No.
No, I'm not gentle.
Bop you over the head and drag you to houses until you buy one.
I love you, but get it together.
Yeah.
We don't have time for this. Yes.
Yep. ID. Good girl. Who else?
Before we move on, Jalan, did you have a person in your head that you were targeting with, like, whether it was a buyer or a seller?
I did not. And I was thinking to kind of tweak it based on which one, but that was kind of, I was thinking just overall kind of general.
Yeah, because it was very powerful as it sits, and you could take it when you're going to a specific conversation. And on the margin, like I would just, or like have in your head where you would add in for seller specific focus, or buyer specific focus, because it was super powerful. And if you add that aspect, it would drill down on what it is that they are looking for specifically.
Great. Thank you.
And I think that's important too, what Virginia just said, because it brings you from somebody that I want to hang out with to like, oh yeah, I want to work with you too. Right? Like, oh yeah, that's the point. Right?
Yeah. Bridget, you have a hand up.
Yeah, so I'll share mine. It's a work in progress. I am someone who will act in your best interest, making your dreams my own, but will also provide you facts, honesty, and integrity with during your home buying or selling process with understanding and care.
I love that. We're going to touch on integrity soon, so get ready for that. I'm glad that you had that in there.
Heather, I know you're not volunteering yourself, but you were volunteered as tribute.
Okay.
So share.
I went broad and didn't have a specific person in mind, but I'm dedicated and determined to help you. I aim to deliver top-notch customer experience through good communication, education of the market, protecting my clients' interests. I'm resourceful, timely, and detail-oriented. I'm loyal to my clients' needs. When you hire me, you not only get 100% of my skills and knowledge and attention, but an entire team.
I love that.
That was great. And I get how you said it was broad, and same note to you for Jalan, which is just when you're going to the specific person, you can already have that verbiage prepared for buyer or seller to kind of plug it in to really drill it down.
And remember those graphs that we went over too, what buyers and sellers want, to just kind of add in those little pieces. So when they hear it, they go, oh yeah, that's something that's very important to me. Again, you may be an amazing person that I want to hang out with and party with and go to dinner with, right? But like, why do we want to work together? So I think, Virginia, I'm going to share my screen again. Yeah.
We're going to go through this next section somewhat quickly because we do want to get you guys scripting, and it's a lot of content to get through to get to that point. So Chris is going to talk briefly about how to distinguish yourself. We're going to do some
stuff. I see that okay again?
Yep.
Cool. So now that we have your unique value proposition statement, we want to look at delivering on what that statement means. So again, these are promises that you're making to your clients. This is a covenant that you're making. You're not just going to say that you're going to do all these things and then be like, I'll text you once a week if I feel like it, right? That's not the nature of this business, especially in this market. You will get left behind very quickly if you don't take it seriously. So what's our stance on integrity here at Keller Williams? Anyone? Integrity in all things? Does that ring a bell for anybody?
Absolutely.
So when we say integrity, what does that mean? What are we talking about? Doing the right thing just sometimes?
Doing the right thing all the time.
Even when no one's looking, right? So I don't know if you guys have seen this. It took me a while when I first started, because again, we have so much available to us that some things tend to get buried. I want to show you guys something, if you can see my screen. If you haven't seen this, this is called the Y4C2Ts. And it's basically our belief system here at Keller Williams, not our market center, not your market center, everybody as a whole. So the W is win-win or no deal. And then it goes on to integrity is doing the right things. If you guys don't have this, we're going to teach you how to find it, I guess, in a little bit. This can really help you craft your value proposition if you're struggling with it. Win-win or no deal. Integrity, do the right things. Customers always come first. Fiduciary, right? Commitment in all things. Communication, you seek first to understand, right? You're a good listener, you're asking good questions. Creativity, ideas before results. Teamwork, together everybody achieves more. Trust starts with honesty. We've been hitting on honesty a lot. Equity, opportunities for all, and success results through people. If you haven't seen this, you should print it out and put it on your wall and look at it every single day. We start a lot of our regional calls with this. We start a lot of our leadership calls with this. And then on the back side of it, one team, one mission. This will also really help you craft your value proposition if you're struggling with it. Purpose-led, people first, values inspired. That sounds like somebody that I want to work with. So I just wanted to quickly touch on that. If that's something you've never seen before, don't feel bad about it. It can kind of easily get buried sometimes. So we'll show you how to find that in a minute. So that's the Y4C2Ts. Now we're going to move on to distinguishing yourself. So a value proposition isn't just something you say, it's something you deliver on. Now that you're able to explain your value, how do you apply it, right? What kinds of knowledge are you expected to have? And this is an actual question for you guys. When you're talking to a client, what knowledge, what kinds of things would truly set you apart from a competitor? From your 1% fee realtor, what's going to set you apart?
Local knowledge, getting hyper local, really knowing your market, the buyers and the sellers that are out there. Like, what are the average home values? How long things have been sitting, how long they've been taking to turn over. You want to make sure that you have all of that information with any buyer or seller that you sit down with so that they can know what to expect when you start your search.
I love that. And that sounds like a lot of work, and it is. You know, being a realtor is easy, it's not simple. But at the end of the day, if you take a look at the market every single day, you wake up and you look at your MLS, what's gone under agreement, what's closed in the past 24 hours or whatever. If somebody calls you and says, hey, I was looking at that house. Oh, I'm so sorry. It just went under agreement 13 minutes ago. But look at these other 4 properties that are almost exactly the same. That person's going to be like, wow, you know exactly what you're talking about. You don't have to set me up on a search or call me tomorrow after you look into it. So really having that knowledge like readily available is super important. So I love that. Thank you.
And you guys can set yourself up on a hot search on the top right, and on our MLS is the top right, but set yourself up for a search, set yourself up on a drip campaign or a listing cart for, if you have a client that's looking in a certain area, set yourself up on it so you know what they're getting and you can see how they're interacting with it. You're going to see how they're interacting with it and how they favorite it and everything anyway, but I would set yourself up to it. So it's like, instead of being reactive, you're being proactive. Like, Mary, did you see that 123 Main Street just came on? This looks awesome. We should set up a showing for you.
So also something up here that has been a very divisive issue in the past couple of years in my market in particular is short-term rentals. Tons of people coming to the area say, well, I'd like to buy a vacation home, but I'd like to pay for it through short-term renting it for, 3/4 of the year or whatever. If somebody calls and they say, oh, I love the Kearsarge lighting precinct, I'd like to buy a short-term rental in there. You're not allowed to short-term rent in that area. So even knowing things like zoning laws, future development plans, less than a block away, I can almost, well, there's a tree in the way, but a stone's throw away from my office, they're about to be building a 4-story hotel, 105 rooms. Do you think that that would be beneficial to know for the people in the condo association directly behind it? I think so. So just really be the expert, be the local expert. And I know that that's a lot every single day, but you're going to need to, because you're going to sound like you know way more than any other realtor. So next. Oh, so I want to get into, and I might actually pull it up on the screen, the 6 personal perspectives. Is anybody familiar? Let's see if I can see any hands. Let me see your hand if you're familiar with the 6 personal perspectives. Nobody? Not a one? All right. So it all relates to a continuous drive for knowledge and self-improvement. And I'm going to pull up the 6 personal perspectives just so you guys can get kind of a taste of what I'm talking about, if I can. Here it is. Can you guys see that? So this, you can see, is 102 pages long. This is only the 9th page of it, but these are the 6 steps, the 6 personal perspectives. And number 1 is commit to self-mastery. And how this relates to your unique value proposition is, if you don't know your market, if you haven't mastered that yet, why would people trust you? Why would people work with you, right? And how do you learn these things? How do you keep yourself up to date? You've got to do all the research. If somebody is looking for a house within an HOA, do you know anything about that HOA? Do you know what the fees are? Do you know what they cover? Do you know if they plow the roads or the driveways or both? So we're actually going to do another activity. Oh, and I did print this out, but I think probably showing you on the computer is a little bit better. So we're going to move on to another activity. Growing and keeping your expertise.
So this is page 14 of your guide, of your participant guide, if you are using it. And we're going to do this all together. which is how do you guys commit to self-mastery? How do you guys find out the things that you need to know? Because sometimes you're in the beginning. We're gonna do this all together because if you are new, you might not know where to get like the square footage, the finished square footage of the property that you're bringing a buyer to. So what are some resources that you guys have learned to access certain information to continue to make you a market expert, or like, where do you guys go for these resources? I'm gonna pick on Brian. Brian, where do I go? What resources do we utilize to find out what do I need to know about a property when I bring a buyer through?
Well, I usually use the MLSs, and I go to the town also to find out what the town knows about the house.
When you say you go to the town, what information, like, so where would I get a tax card? Where would I get a tax bill? Where would I get a tax map?
Well, a lot of them are online, which is really good, but some towns are kind of small, and some will only be open on Tuesday every other week. So I usually research by, hitting up the listing agent and talking to them, finding out where they got their stuff. And that's pretty much what I do. Is that okay?
Yeah. But are you relying on the information solely that the listing agent is providing you, or are you going above and beyond?
No, not at all. I just had a issue where on the last day before we were going to go into contract, the agent said, "Hey, by the way, did you sign the other conditions?" And we had been telling this person for 2 months we wanted to buy this property for a manufactured home. Well, the last day she pulled it out, and there, lo and behold, on the third page, no manufactured homes. So what I got to do, actually myself, my buyer wanted that land so much that they already had it appraised so they could go through. So myself and the listing agent, we had the option of finding out, going to each one in the each house in the whole development and getting them to sign something through the use of a lawyer to allow manufactured homes, or we didn't. So I called up the listing agent. We agreed to pay for their appraisal. So my clients were able to get out the last minute. But for that, I was really awestruck because it wasn't on the listing. It wasn't anywhere. I did the deed. I read the deeds. I went through the deeds, and it wasn't there. Couldn't find it until the last day. It was there. So I was really at fault. So right now I'm paranoid. I look at everything. I go up and down, and but I always find that the town, usually you can find somebody that will love to talk to you, and they will tell you everything they know and when not to show up and what the person likes to eat.
Yes, how they take their coffee.
Yeah, bring donuts. I mean, seriously, if you're up in Acton, Maine, well, you can't now. I'm sorry. Before the pandemic, it was always good to talk, because I found out when we tried to sell 2 of our own cabins on the lake that he called himself the code enforcement officer, called himself the CEO, and he basically guards the whole lake. And if you do not satisfy him, you will not sell your camp.
A lot of small towns up here are like that. And it sounds kind of wild, wild westy, but it's just our reality.
It is. And I'm from the Midwest. So I'm like, what? That's, and reality is he controls it. And you also find out that the code enforcement officer is best friends with the builder that built the house. It's who they know. So I just try to go there and ask questions and shut up.
Well, thank you for being vulnerable and sharing your admitted,
I thought I had it all covered.
Yep.
And I did not. And in reality it didn't matter. I was still responsible for it.
Yep.
And my clients wanted that land was just perfect for them. But
so make sure you guys are doing your due diligence in advance. And if you don't know where to go for certain information, ask. I don't know. We have an internal Facebook group that we have with our market center. I'm sure you guys all have something similar. It's a powerful discussion board and place where people can get advice and have access to tens of probably 50 years of real estate experience at any given moment, getting responses from that much real estate experience people as to where you guys can find things. So know where to go and be resourceful, and don't be afraid to ask questions. And again, I think we covered this in the beginning. Don't assume that you know it all until you've overturned every stone and have all the resources that you need to, if someone says, how do you know that, right? You reference a source. This goes back to grade school when you're writing an essay, right? You're giving credit where credit is due. I didn't create it. I pulled it from here. So the same thing applies.
Well, and I think that that's an important point too, and I'll just be quick, is relying on somebody else's mistake doesn't make your mistake okay. And I can't say that we've all been there. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but when 3 or 4 days before closing, you say, oh, this property is owned by 2 people, not just 1 person. Uh-oh, I've been there before. My fault. And guess what? The listing agent, all of the paperwork, it was only in 1 name too. So we're not relying on anybody else's work or anybody else's word for anything.
So just for your own self in your own markets, jot down a neighborhood that you guys are interested in becoming an expert in. And then I would challenge you on your own time, because we're running out of time today and I want to respect your time, is look into, turn over every stone. So if there's a specific neighborhood, maybe it's a neighborhood that you live in, maybe it's a certain HOA, maybe it's, maybe you have a buyer who's interested in buying in a specific spot. Try to find out as much information as that of that neighborhood or that homeowners association or that area as possible, because that knowledge will serve you moving forward. It's not that you're not going to only have 1 buyer in that neighborhood or 1 seller in that neighborhood, because then the next person comes in and be like, oh, I want to buy in this particular homeowners association and I love my pit bull. And I own a pit bull, so this is not pit bull shaming. I love that dog. But my point is that maybe there are breed restrictions in a certain HOA that you wouldn't have known, but now you're more of an expert when that person comes to you because you've already done that research for another client, or just because you wanted to find out. So when that other person comes in, you're like, I appreciate that you actually want to be in that homeowners association. They have very specific breed restrictions, and unfortunately, that won't work for you. But this goes to another point. You guys should be having a client intake form. You need to know a lot more information about them than you think that you do. So when I first started, my buyer evaluation was legal names. Like maybe they go by Josh, but their real name is Josiah. It could, you know what I mean? You need to know legal names for all of your forms. You need to know legal addresses. You might want to know if they have any pets, what kind of pets, what breeds of those pets, and what kind of functionality do they want in the home? What are they going to use that home for? Well, it's really important to me that I have a camper and I can park my camper. Well, some places have that you can't do that. So it gets more personal than you think that it needs. You need to know a lot more about someone than you think you do in order to properly represent them. But that's great because it actually moves you closer to them emotionally, which builds trust. So, and they might be like, why do you need to know this? Because I want to know when we're looking at every property, whether or not that's an option for you. And the more I know about you, the better I can cater to what it is that you're looking for. And that goes for buyers and sellers. All right, so moving on to creating a stellar experience. So what is creating a stellar experience? What qualifies it as an excellent real estate experience? And what services are you or your office responsible for providing? And this goes into allied resources, right? So we have to know what hat we wear. We are real estate professionals. We are not lawyers. We are not CPAs. We are not plumbers. We are not electricians. We are not home inspectors. We are not lenders. So we need to build our bench of people, trusted relationships that we have, so that I can be the resource for everything that my clients need. I want them to come to me when they need a plumber or an electrician or a flooring guy or a title person. I want to be the source of the source because that builds more value with me. And it also outlives the transactional relationship that we have to help them buy or sell a home. When my buyers buy a house, I want to provide them with a binder that has referral network of people that they can buy into to have someone do all the things that they need to do. So building that bench. So again, I want you guys to jot down really quickly because we are trying to get through all the content, which I apologize for. Identify a few roles of people that you need in your world in order to best service your clients. Maybe that's a lender, maybe that's a title person, maybe that's a home inspector, maybe that's a surveyor, But again, it could be a plumber, it could be an electrician, it could be any magnitude of those people. Maybe it's a painter, an interior decorator. So make a list of people, and throughout as you're making your calls and as you're calling people to prospect for clients, you're also calling to build your bench. Hey, Mr. Lender, I'd like to just have coffee with you and get to know you a little bit, because I really should have a bank person on my bench. I should really have a mortgage lender. I should really have a mortgage broker. You guys should really understand the nuances between them. Sometimes it's better that they go through a local bank and have a portfolio product, because they can have different debt to income ratios, because maybe your buyer has low credit. These are all things that you want to make sure that you have a resource for them. So make a note of a couple industries. And when you're making those calls, you're not only calling for clients, you're also calling for industries that you can help build your wall of value for your people. All right, guys, we're going to move on. If I could get a quick, I know we've gone through a lot of content. If we get just 2 people to share what's a term that we KWers love is, what's an aha? Tell me what we've gone through a lot of stuff. Is there something that you know now, what you didn't know, or a perspective that has changed for the better, for the worse? Share some bit of knowledge that you will take away, and then we'll move into a practice portion.
Turning over every stone yourself, that's a big one.
Yep, learn from somebody else's mistake. Learn from Brian's mistake. That's why we share them. That's why you guys we say fail fast and fail forward, because as Brian stated, he's like, I am never going to make that mistake again. Bridget's the only one who's taken anything of value from this class. Krista, we should just be fired now.
Bye.
Yeah.
That was easy.
See ya. Just kidding.
All right, guys. So we're going to go into we're going to move on. The whole goal of this whole Ignite series for you guys is not to pin your butt to a chair for a million hours and, shove information down your throat. It's all about adding contacts, having conversations daily, doing handwritten notes, and doing home previews. So 10 contacts added daily, 10 conversations a day about real estate, 10 handwritten notes, and 10 home previews a week. So scripts are part of that language of sales. When I see the word script, it tastes like vinegar. When I say script coming out of my mouth, I was never a script person when I was selling, but it's not a script, right? It's just the words that we use to have the conversations that we're going to have. And when you first get into this industry, you don't have those words, right? So Krista did a perfect example of this. She ripped off and duplicated. She didn't have the words. She took someone else's thing and made it her own. That's exactly what scripts are. So you guys learn them, memorize them, internalize them so that you can then regurgitate them back to the world, and they sound like you, because and they're going to sound awful when you first start learning them. So scripting is a part of that. Does anybody here script on a regular basis? Does everybody here have a script partner? I do, because Krista is my script partner, and we randomly call each other once a week. And when we answer the phone, we better be ready to go.
And it's actually a really great exercise, because it's somebody that you're comfortable with, and you're not calling saying, hey, are you ready to script practice? You're calling and saying, hi, is this Virginia? Oh, yes, it is. This is Krista Carden calling from Keller Williams Lakes and Mountains. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Take off all of the awkwardness, get it out of there. Because the goal in the beginning is to call your sphere of influence, right? Like, it's to call the people that know and love and trust you. It shouldn't be an awkward conversation. And we're going to show you how to have a conversation with somebody you haven't talked to in 5 years and have it not be awkward, because that's always the thing that we hear from agents, our agents, and from other brokerages is, oh, well, I haven't talked to that person in 6 years. They're going to be mad at me. Nope. And that's why we have scripts, and that's why we practice them, to get a little bit more comfortable with those conversations.
All right, so Krista and I are going to do a script right now. You guys are going to watch, and then we are going to do trial by fire because we don't have enough time. We're going to have everybody turn leave your cameras on and keep yourselves muted, and then you're all going to call someone. And then I want to hear some takeaways. And some people may not answer. And oops, speaking of phone calls, some people may not answer, which is fine.
$5 in the swear jar.
Yep. Some people may not answer. Then you just make another call. So I'm going to share I'm going to take over because I got the script here, and I'll leave this script up on the screen of the one that we're going to focus on today.
And I'm just going to let you know that before I call Virginia, every time I make sure to look at the do not call list and make sure I'm working in compliance of that. Because a violation of the do not call list is not like a slap on the wrist and $100 fine. It will put you out of business. They're talking about, in our regional calls, sometimes they're talking about class action suits in the millions. So just keep that in mind.
Yes.
I say that with love and also to scare you.
Yes. Intentionally scaring you. And your market centers should have details and subscriptions to the areas in which you guys will be calling. So double check with them on where those resources are, please. And if you're calling someone you know too, and you're asking for a referral versus asking for business, there is a gray area there. But again, consult with your market center on their own rules as well. So we're going to be using the Ford script today. Has everybody ever seen Ford? Do you know what Ford stands for? Okay, so F, family, O, occupation, R, recreation, D, dream. So this is someone that you know. So this is a sphere call. So Chris is going to kick it off with Ford, and based off of my response, she's going to choose one of the ones below that she feels the most comfortable with.
Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, Virginia.
Hey, yeah. Hey, Krista. It's been a while.
Hey, it's me. Do you still remember me? It's been so long.
I do. Yeah, it's been a really long time.
I know. I've got to apologize for dropping the ball. I've been so busy. You know, I just got into real estate. I have been studying a lot. I took a 40-hour course while working 60 hours a week. So it's been a little tough. So I apologize for dropping the ball, really kind of on our friendship, but I just wanted to call and catch up with you and see how things are going. How's the hubby?
He's good. Yep. Pandemic. He's been working from home, but he's happy about it and he's more productive. So can't complain. And we're about to leave and go on for a trip to a family reunion. So we're super excited to get away.
That's awesome. That's exciting. I know that the last time we talked, it's been such a long time, but you were telling me that you were kind of struggling for time and struggling to get away. And it was kind of a dream of yours just to take a vacation. So it makes me so happy that you're actually getting out there and doing it.
Yeah, thank you. No, we're super excited.
That's awesome. So, I mean, now that you have the time for a vacation, are you still working with Keller Williams Coastal?
So Krista and I have a different job. So you just went into a different mindset, Krista. So
you took away the script. That's why.
I did. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to. Bad. Fail. See, we all fail. Okay. Yeah, I'm actually still working. I am still at Liberty Mutual and job's going great. Can't complain.
That's great to hear. So are you still doing your goat yoga?
I stopped doing the goat yoga actually. You can imagine that it got a little messy. So
yeah. I would think so. And it's funny because the last time I talked to you, your goat yoga was kind of turning into you wanting a bunch of goats. Did you ever pursue that dream?
No, I recognized that I was going down a dark hole. So I went in the opposite direction. But how have you, enough about me, how are you?
I love that. Well, I'm pretty good. So the reason that I'm calling, obviously, you know, I already said I kind of dropped the ball on our relationship and I just wanted to get back in touch with you and catch up and see how you're doing. But I'm also calling to share with you that I just got my real estate license and I'm with Keller Williams Realty now. So I thought of you because I know that you would be somebody that would probably want to help me grow my business because I know that you working for Liberty Mutual, I've done a little here and there to help you grow yours. So you know so many people that I know. You know my track record, you know how committed I am to doing my very best. So I'm just calling to see if you know anybody that's interested in buying or selling or investing in real estate.
Yeah, we've been thinking about buying an investment property. We just don't know even where to start. So if you know of someone who could help us with investing, that would be our conversation. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm actually working for a company that is acclaimed worldwide for their training and their technology. So sure, I'm a new agent, but I'm ready to help you out. I would be honored to help you find an investment property. So why don't we grab coffee next week on like Monday or Tuesday morning and just go over your wants and needs and desires, and we can go from there.
Okay, sounds good.
Awesome, because we're gonna get coffee anyways because we have to catch up. So we might as well make it about business and call it a tax write-off, right?
Hey, whatever helps you with those tax write-offs. I don't live in that world, so more power to you.
Cool. So Monday morning or Tuesday morning?
Tuesday's better.
Cool. So like 9 o'clock work for you?
Yeah, works great.
Awesome. See you Tuesday at 9. And do you, now that I've got you on the phone, do you know anybody else in your life, in your goat yoga group, or maybe at work that might be interested as well that I could call?
I don't, but now that I know that this is what you do, I'll definitely try to keep you in mind.
Awesome. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to see you on Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm excited too.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye. All right, guys. So it may not go that smoothly or it may go that smoothly, but you can see how it sounded conversational. Krista used the script, obviously pulled in some personal communication of conversations we previously had. And we're going to go into how you can update a client information as well right after this. So everybody's going to stay on. Any questions before you guys get going? Does everybody have a human that you already know that was either like just in your world, friends, family, anybody that you have planned to call? Because you all got to make at least one call. So you might want to start thinking about that person now.
And you guys also, ain't no shame in stalking somebody a little bit. So hop on Facebook, hop on Instagram when you're calling these people, and you can see like, oh, hey, I saw you at the top of a mountain the other day. When did you start hiking? Right? So like, just be conversational, be relatable. And these are people that, if you're calling an auntie that you haven't seen in a year, it should be a good call. Hey, I'm so sorry, I haven't seen you in a year. Take it, throw it out, and then move on with your conversation.
All right. I'm going to mute myself too, because I'm going to use this time to make a call. And so isn't Krista. We will come back in 10 minutes. How are we all doing? I see people have put the phone down. Who has some wins to share? I saw people chatting. What kind of conversations are you guys having?
Well, so I took your cue and scrolled through Facebook quickly, and I happened to notice a post of somebody I literally haven't talked to in about 6 years, and it was he's an extra on the Julia Child movie set that's filming in downtown Boston. So right there, I sent him a quick text and then I called him, and just there's a opener right there, something to talk about, and chat about that. And of course he asked about me, so we got into that little personal stuff and then the real estate stuff, and gonna grab lunch next week. So
nice. I love that.
Yeah, it was pretty
Awesome.
funny.
Is it going to be, are you having lunch on the movie set?
I
Strategic about
I
that
know.
too, right?
Well, I told him to ask whatever actress is playing Julia Child if she wanted me to find her a Cape House for the summer. So
Well done. I'm proud of you. That's awesome.
That's cool. And that's the thing, you never know where that conversation is going to go. Just keep it intentional. Talk about him, what's going on with him, and then talk about your goals. Like, involve people in your goals. Like, my goal, it's my first year, whatever your reality is, it's my first year in real estate, and my goal is to help 6 families or 12 families or whatever your goal is. And if you tell people that goal, they're like, oh, well, who do I know? Like, if you express a goal, people want to help you reach it. One of my favorite scripts is actually from Bold. And it was, you call someone, and this is a script that I went to, which is actually funny because I called the same friend that I called during Bolt. And I just said, hey, like, did the Ford, you always open with Ford. And then I went into, so I'm in this competition. And the competition is that I have to talk to as many people as I humanly possibly can about real estate. And I really want to win. And when people hear that you're competing, I may be competing with myself, like, it doesn't matter. But when they hear that, like, what can you win? Like, they get excited about the fact that you're in a competition. So that's one of my favorite ones too, is I need to help as many people buy and sell or invest in real estate. And I'm in a competition and I want to win it. So
people seem to always want to help you too, and that's why language can be so powerful. I need to ask you a favor. Can you do me a favor? I need some help, right? Like, put it in those terms and people are like, of course I'm going to help you. And also always coming from a point of contribution too. You're not just calling them and asking for business. How can you help them? Always kind of keep that in the forefront of your mind too.
Well, if you're calling a past client, maybe you've had one closing and you're calling and checking in on them. Like, hey, you guys mentioned that you wanted to renovate the laundry room. Did you guys ever do that? Do you need help with that? Do you need a person? Can I help you find, if I don't know a person, now that I know you have this need, I'm going to go back to the agents that I know and see if anyone has a person who can help you renovate your laundry room. Debbie, I saw you on the phone. Who are you chatting with? Oh, you're muted.
Called a friend I haven't talked to in a little while. Basically did the same thing, just went on Facebook and just picked somebody. And actually they said they know somebody that's been looking for a while. So they're going to, I did the whole, hey, why don't you send a text to both of us and I'll, take over from there. So we'll see if they sign the person.
Nice. Cool. Brian, I saw you on the phone.
Yeah, I tried to get a hold of a old client and no answer there, but I just kind of, put the touch on him. So I'll be talking to him pretty soon, and then called another person who I talk to daily.
Nice.
And just, it's always, every time I talk to that person, I'm giving them information, they're giving me information. So that's pretty much it.
Cool. Anybody else have anything to share? Isabel, were you making any calls?
Yes, I spoke to my, he's sort of like my godson. He's my ex-husband's son. And I'm helping him look for lands in the area of Lawrence. So I called him and I just asked him if he's been looking at the MLS listings that I've been sending him. And he saw a property on Essex Street that he wants me to go with him to see. So yes.
So you got a showing out of it. That's great.
Yeah, definitely.
So I just learned something very valuable, you know, speaking from coming from a point of contribution. I just had a conversation with an agent from another brokerage who has a family member that was just diagnosed with cancer. That makes me want to throw up on myself. Oh, good. Like, I'm glad that I called you in the middle of this awful situation. Turn that into something good. I'm going to send him an edible arrangement, right? Like just a little touch to say, hey, I'm here for you. I care about you if you need me. That's it. So try to turn a loss around into something good. Did I get anything out of that conversation? I didn't get an appointment. We didn't get a lunch date, a coffee date, anything. But he felt comfortable enough with me to share that very personal information with me. And I'm going to send him a card in an edible arrangement, and he's going to remember me forever because of that. Right.
Yeah. So I'll share mine, and then I'll quickly, because we're supposed to be ending this in 2 minutes and I want to respect your time. We're just going to quickly show you how to add a contact and update that contact. So every time we have a conversation, we need to log that conversation so that the next time we go to communicate with them, I know when was last time we talked and what we talked about. So before I go into that, I called and I flipped my script back into an agent because I don't sell anymore. But now I have 2 referrals for some of our agents. So I called a friend of mine and I honestly said, I'm teaching a class right now and we're all breaking to talk to people about who they know, who's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. And I thought of you, and who do you know? And she's like, actually, she's a recruiter for like an industry. And she said, actually, I just talked, her name is Dana Crawford. She just relocated from Missouri and they're renting for a year, but they're going to be looking in Southern New Hampshire in the Nashua or Danville area. So she actually has a meeting with her in 30 minutes. She's going to ask her if she can connect us. And I can't directly help her, but I can communicate with her and say, where are you looking? What are you thinking of what you need? And then I can connect her with an agent who services that area. So and I can still get referrals. So that's a 25% referral for myself. And then one of my agents gets to help someone buy a home. And then she said her sister just got pre-approved and for $350,000, and she's not working with an agent. And so now I can connect with her sister and I can again refer her to one of our agents. So and you know what, this is such the kick in the pants because I don't call people anymore for that stuff like that because I am in recruiting and retention and teaching, but I'm missing out on this revenue of referrals and driving business to my agents, and shame on me. You know what I mean? I think that's the one thing we realized, like, oh, all I had to do was pick up the phone. All I had to do was talk to a human and I got an opportunity. Like, that's what you learn through this process and through Ignite. It's just like the power of just doing it. Just do it. Just do it and you will see results, and do it on a consistent basis. So let me share my screen real quick. We're just going to show you, Chris, I'm just going to do it so we can get through it.
Referrals can be such a powerful source of income for you guys too. My father lives in Utah. So am I not calling him because I'm not licensed in Utah? Of course I'm calling him and saying, hey dad, like who at the ski area, right? Like who at Snowbird right now, do you know that's looking to buy or sell and invest in property? That's one single phone call. It's a 5-minute conversation and I might make a few $1,000s from that. So don't overlook those opportunities either. There are Keller Williams agents really everywhere.
Well, apparently my computer can't handle life right now. So Krista, you may have to do it on your end.
No worries.
Oh, here we go. It might be my internet connection too. All right, so this is your home screen at Command. All of you raised your hands that you've gone into Command. So contacts is the little guy sitting in the screen right here. If you don't know what these icons mean, you can hover over them and what they are will show up. You can also click on the red KW on the top and it'll expand and all of what these are will show up. So if you didn't know that, there's your takeaway for the day. So I'm going to go into my contacts because I just spoke with someone, if my internet will allow me to. Christy, you might have to take over because this is going to drive you bonkers.
Okay. Interesting that you're having the internet problem and not me this time.
I know. Oh, maybe it'll work. All right. All right, so I looked up and I have never entered Adrielle into my contact, so it's actually perfect. So add a contact is in the top right-hand corner with the blue button. So I'm going to add her in, and I'm going to butcher her name. Not how you really spell it, but that's okay. So I entered in her name. I obviously have her phone number because we just spoke. That's obviously fake. I'm just going to put that in there for now. I want to put in as much information as I can, but right now I don't have her email address, so I just have her phone. Shame on me. I should have, while I had her on the phone, be like, oh, and by the way, I want to grab your email address so that I can keep you informed of what's going on in the market. Because even though you've already bought, you might want to know and keep a pulse of the market. So can I grab your email address? Always try to keep these as complete as possible. I might tag her as maybe she's my sphere. Maybe I went to high school with her. You guys can create a custom tag here, and I'm not going to get into the weeds because the point is just to log your activities. But if you want to create a custom tag and isolate based off of high school or however you know them, the point of the tags is that you can isolate and market one-to-one versus one-to-many. So anything that enables you to isolate groups of people based off of how you want to market. So I'm going to hit create. I'm going to go into her, and you can see my health score is really low because I don't have an email address and I don't have a lot of information. What I'm going to do on the right-hand side is I called her, so I want to log my activity. Now, there's a difference between logging your activity and making a note. If you make a note, you can't isolate based off of the last contact. So I would push you, you can make notes, which is just for your own, well-being and knowledge, but I would have you put as much detail in the activity as possible. So I called her, and I called her on today's date, and then called and discussed sister pre-approved for 350. Whoa. 350K and recruit moving from Missouri. And spelling is not, this is embarrassing, M-I-S-S-O-U-R-I. I think that's right. And recruit moving from Missouri, looking at a year. Save. So now the activity is added to my timeline, or it will be. Again, my internet's super slow. So then if I go back to my contacts, I can look at last contacted. So last contacted on September 9th, so that when you have people in your database, like who have I not contacted in a while? You can also create filters for yourself based off of tags. So that's why it's also cool too. Like I want to contact all my high school roster. So I'm going to put high school in my tags. And then today I'm going to call them and I can isolate that way. So that's just a quick adding a contact and adding an activity so that I know when we spoke and what we spoke about. So the next time I go to talk to her, I know so I can be more intentional with her. While I'm in here, if you guys ever need help with command, of course you have your leadership, but this little circle of the right-hand corner with the question mark, there's guided tours based off of each applet. So if you guys don't know how to navigate, if it's your first time in here, you can click on the guided tours and it will walk you through step-by-step each applet. Keller Williams University as well has training videos on command. And then you can also chat with support or post an idea. Another spot where you guys can get training is actually on Connect. So this little, on the top center, yours will say Command and Connect, not Command MC. When you go into Connect, you're going to go to kwconnect.com, which there's a little directive over here on the right-hand side. It's going to pull me into where all the training hub is. So if you click on calendar here, all of your local market center training will be here, as well as any international or regional training will be on here as well. So your calendar will look different than ours because it knows what market center you're a part of, and it will give you access to that training calendar. The cool thing too, though, so we have our market center training, but then any other training that's available, if it's online, but with any other market center, they may be making it available to you as well. And I agree that it can be overwhelming, but it's better to have access, but just know how to pare it down. When you guys are first getting your start, Ignite and contracts. Ignite and contracts is what you guys should be focusing on. And then of course, getting into command and logging your activities. And then if you scroll down, there's a daily training here. Another place, if you're looking to learn more about command technology, training and resources, And you can do a self-guided, you can do whatever you want to learn. There's different applet trainings. I'm ready to learn command, get started. I need training on how to run my business. I'm ready to set up my app. And then based off of that, they will show you where you should go. So we're a little over, it's 12:22. If that's the first time you've really gone through command, look at the guided tours and then know where your resources are under training. Any questions, comments, concerns? Was today valuable for you guys? I know it was long. I know it was long. Any ahas?
I have an aha. I have a funny feeling that the people that are still tuned in, the people that are still on this screen are going to be very, very successful in their career because you're putting yourself outside of your comfort zone. Scripting is not fun for most people, but where do you grow? Not when you're comfortable.
Right. You told me something, Krista, when we were preparing for this class, you're like, we were talking about exactly this part and you were saying, you know, I knew that when I first got started that, and this is not a plug for any particular training, I preface that because I feel like we do a lot of that, but she knew that bold was something that she's like, there's no way in hell I want to do that. That's terrifying. And no, I don't like it. But that's exactly what she went to do because she's like, I need to intentionally be uncomfortable in order to get comfortable being uncomfortable, in order to do the things that I need to do at a high level. So thank you guys for honoring us with your time today. I know that it's valuable. I know that there's so much content out there for you to choose from. Thank you for investing in yourselves and in your success. And I honor each and every one of you. This is the yogi in me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And there is, thank you. There is a survey. Krista was just holding it up.
Thank you.
It's probably too small to even see. But if you want to tell people how horrible we are, you can scan this QR code and give them feedback on us. I have no idea what the questionnaire looks like.
Hold on.
Is it scannable?
Yes, it is.
Cool. These things are magical. And if you don't have them on your business cards, consider doing that because people can instantly download your app. There's a little
awesome.
I've seen a lot of QR codes on people's for sale sign on their riders. So it'll say their name and then have a QR code. And some of them are actually specific to that property. So somebody pulls over on the side of the road, they scans the QR code and it'll pop right up on their phone, a virtual tour, all of the photos, all of the listing information, but you can have that for yourself as well.
Krista?
Yeah.
Is it Krista? You're just listed as KW New England. Can you put your name in the chat?
Yes, please.
It's good, I swear. Don't worry. You don't have to put a fake name.
Yeah, and I'm available too. I'm going to put my email in here. If no matter where you guys are, Krista and I work for this particular market center, but we're all here to enable you guys in your success. So if you need anything at all, please do not hesitate to reach out. There is my email as well.
We are really all friends here, you guys. We're all in the same boat. As my ex-mother-in-law used to say, we're all in the same boat and we're all sinking. So like, let's all help each other. Right?
I like that analogy though. I like to float. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, and together we stay afloat, right?
Right. All right.
What market center are you guys from?
Coastal Lakes and Mountains, 463.
Okay.
I don't know if that, Isabel, is that our market center they're asking for? We're doing the survey and this is why.
Oh.
Or is it theirs?
Sure.
I don't know.
Okay, your brain is fried after 3.5 hours of listening to us.
It asks for the market center, but I'm not sure
I
if
think
it means
it's for them.
If it's us, it's 463.
Okay.
463. Okay.
Well, thank you, ladies, for taking your extra time.
Yeah,
All right.
I really appreciate that.
Bye, everybody. Remember,
You guys are awesome. Have a good week.
Thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you so much. You guys are awesome.
Get well soon. For all of you that are sick out there, I saw 2 or 3 people that aren't feeling so hot. So get well soon.
That was easy.
Bye, Vicky.
Is that your easy button?
Yes.